So hello, this is our second playtest of Worlds of Adventure version 0.1. And I'm Kyle, the GM. With us today is Sydney, who is playing Bannigan, the stone golem dwarf-ish ranger.
Correct.
Yes, and also we have Alex, who is playing Aster, the druid, with a mark of bare hands.
That's me.
Yes, and our bard has disappeared from the internet, um, but I'm
I'm
sure
back.
they'll be along. Oh, you're here. Okay. Yes. So we have Lauren playing Theodore Spring Gone.
Spring Grove.
Spring Grove, yes. Uh, who is a nature siren bard. Yes, short lived, but willing and eager to go and have experiences in the world to bring back to the forest. Um, so, I have written. I don't know if this was the most effective use of time, but I've written up an intro to the adventure, and I hope it isn't a disaster after that.
Nice.
So, um,
I believe in you.
good.
You can do it, Kyle.
Thanks. Uh, so, Theodore, some days ago, as you luxuriated in the presence of the late summer sun, the wind spoke to you, and in the voice of your sister, it spoke in hushed tones of the creeping death of the forest you call mother and home. She spoke at length of this in the anxious whistling of the wind and in the trees, and spoke of the lengths she had gone to in order to understand its cause and to find a cure. So, in speaking to all the plants and animals of the forest, she had found but one answer. The answer she found was not the cause, but only what the owl had to say, who was wise, and suggested that the magus who lived beneath the Bear Claw Mountain may be able to find the cause and its remedy. You have gone down deep under the earth now with your companions, through the hidden and subterranean ways known only to the animals of the soil, and have found yourself in a setting beyond all you had thought to experience. So, what is the first thing you found when you entered the world underneath the mountain? How was it strange and wonderful to you?
Is this to me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Under the mountain, we found what I learned were stones, but they were rather odd for when you shone light upon them. They emitted light like the sun.
So they
Odd
responded?
that. Yeah, I'm thinking either they're like shiny gems and stuff and gold.
Okay, so like
Or like
gemstones.
yeah. Sorry, I'll try and be less cryptic. Yeah, we definitely found some gemstones, or like at least some kind of rock that reflected light. Um, and so like yes, when you hold a candle to it, it for me it was like, what is this sun thing under the mountain? Why is sunlight coming from
Right.
under the ground?
Okay.
And then it was odd because I don't really get any light from it either. It's very artificial and strange.
Okay. And Bannigan, what do you hope to learn from the Magus?
I hope to learn how to learn new things. I want to learn how to imbue myself with more knowledge.
Okay. So you want to be better able to um, do you want to like get new knowledge from the Magus, or do you want to be able to like get the ability to learn better?
Yeah, like get the ability to learn better.
Okay.
Like things that I haven't been instilled with don't stick around for long. I can hold onto them for maybe a day, but then they're gone.
So okay, so you don't have much in the way of long-term memory.
Yeah, I except for the stuff that I've been designed for or
Right.
designed with.
Okay, cool, gotcha. Yes, and Aster, uh, what did you bring with you to survive under the earth?
Um, I'm pretty like, what's the term? Uh, Self-sustaining. Because I think I just brought like my trusty shield, which takes forever to get into, as well as my ceremonial garbs, as I'm like here on business from the Druid circle.
Okay, cool. Right. So yeah, so I think you've been traveling through these like narrow tunnels, and it's all been extremely claustrophobic. But after some period of time, going down further and further into the earth, and the air becoming more and more stale, and more and more sort of an oppressive heat has built up. And you've seen sort of creatures along the way. Maybe you've talked to them, like how much further does it go? But they really just have their kind of immediate sense of the world around them, and they're not too sure. Uh, After all of that, you've come out into an enormous cave that expands around you, and this is a very strange place compared to the world that you are used to. You mentioned that there were gemstones, Theodore, and there are. In fact, there is a gemstone forest down here. It's a number of large, sort of towering, branching, crystalline growths out of the earth, of ruby and sapphire, and there are lakes that are luminescent. So this whole cave is lit with a strange, almost turquoise light. And the smells down here are smells that you are not familiar with, but they can sting your skin and your nose at times, but also at other times they smell sweet, or they smell kind of damp. At turns, you get different senses, and you've come down into this forest, maybe scaling some walls and coming out of a cave mouth, and you've just encountered a number of small humanoid creatures that look to be made out of some kind of ore and gemstone themselves. And they live in the trees of these crystalline, or they live in the branches of these crystalline trees. What do you do?
Theodore will immediately lean in close to Vanagon and smile and say, "Oh, are these relatives of yours?" In a sort of like, kind of like semi-mocking tone.
And Bannigan looks back at you with the cold stone eyes and says, "No, they are made of different stones."
So you see them sort of jumping from tree to tree around you, and it makes these like sometimes like thunking sounds as they land, but also sometimes they hit at the right angle that there's like a resonance, and it starts to create like these notes that play across the trees around you. And it looks like they might be maneuvering to surround you. What do you do?
I might just engage with one of my moves here.
Mm-hmm.
When you first encounter a beast or monster, you may ask the GM, "What is the most efficient way to kill this?"
Yeah, okay. So I just tell you, right?
There's no role in it. It just says,
Yeah.
You just do it.
Yeah, so I think you sort of dig back into your imbued knowledge in your mind, and you realize that the best way to kill or destroy these creatures would be to hit them with some kind of blunt impact and just shatter them. Yeah.
Sure. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think Theodore will turn an ear to the noises these things are making, just to at least see if this is like a tune that he finds familiar, or one that resonates with him deep within his sunshiny heart.
Okay. Sure. So, that's a good idea. And I think this is probably... Yeah, okay. I think this is probably Discern Realities. I don't think this falls under your Bard moves necessarily. So, go ahead and roll to Discern Realities with Wisdom.
Sure. I think it's 5 or 4. Either way, it's a fail.
Okay. Yeah, so even with aid, you couldn't succeed on this. So.
Well, sorry. This is one of the things. Is there are the new Bond moves where we could.
Ah, right. Because you have more points, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you when you aid someone, you may erase a bond you have with them, giving them plus forward. If I roll a 7+, they treat any result as a 7 to 9.
Okay. Do you want to give it a try?
I mean, sure. Why not?
So tell me, how are you going to aid? How are you going to aid in this Discern Realities?
I start recounting that I had about them, about how they should be, about what these beasts, that they're made of the gemstones, they're easily shattered, and I think it's just additional information.
Okay, so maybe that triggers some kind of idea in Theodore's head about what this resonance might be.
I like that, Theodore.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, go for it.
So that's 10 on the dice, and I assume I erase the bond first. So it's +1.
Yeah. So this is under...
it's under old ties. When you aid someone, you may erase a bond you have with them. If you do, instead of giving them plus forward, on a 7+, they treat any result of a 6- as 7 to 9.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so you roll first, and then you can decide to erase, because it sounds like yeah, because it follows up on the aid move, right? So yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. So I'm going to erase Theodore underestimates my talents, because I'm certainly proving some worth to you now, Theodore. And
certainly are.
You can treat that as a 7 to 9.
All right, so you get to ask a question. So what happened here recently? What is about to happen? What should I be on the lookout for? What here is useful to me? Who or what is really in control here? And what here is not as it appears to be?
I would like to know what is about to happen.
Okay. So I think you notice that the resonance among these trees may be calling more of these creatures to this place. So they might be massing for something. You can tell that.
Interesting. Which I, of course, will relay to my colleagues to the effect of I can hear in the stagnant air of this place that there may be many more coming. In fact, there are many more coming.
Do we want to run or do we want to fight? Because they're not the only ones that can call more creatures.
Oh yeah, so maybe are you gonna like do like a standoff?
If we want to stand our ground, if we want to flee, what do we want to do? Team?
Theodore, are you able to match their resonance?
You mean lyrically or musically?
Yeah, are you able to, with the machine that you have that makes the pleasant noise, can you match theirs?
I can always try. There's no harm in trying anything ever.
Okay.
No harm.
So, go ahead. If you want to try to, so are you going to play an instrument or are you going to sing?
I like to think that Theodore sings, and he can't really play any instruments, but
Okay.
the sound of his voice is more than enough. It rivals any quartet.
Yeah,
or
and like
orchestra.
I think that in this space, there's probably like the acoustics are very like echoey and like everything sounds very loud. It's like, you know, if you go into a house with like everywhere things like hardwood floors, like it sounds like very you can hear your voice a lot. Like nothing gets reduced by, you know, like carpeting or anything like that. There's no real like plants or anything to absorb the sound, so yeah, your voice will carry quite a bit.
And I think for that reason, he can also like harmonize with himself if he were to sing
Mhm.
like in this echoic chamber. So he will he will emit several voices.
All right, cool. So go ahead and defy danger. I think this is with charisma.
Why am I rolling so badly?
What did you get?
Oh man.
And snake eyes. So I think that's a 4, even with my charisma.
Ooh. Okay, yeah.
It's
So
like I can erase the bonds.
you're gonna erase a bond. Okay. How are you gonna help with this? Because like, can you sing? Can you?
We're about to find out, I guess.
It's the thing is, it's like the spirit tongue, right? So maybe like an instinctual level, I can like understand the melody that's playing as a message,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
like try and help cancel it out or sing along to Theodore.
Okay. Well, roll to aid and let's see what happens.
That is 10 on the dice.
Okay.
Jesus fuck, guys.
So you get a
Stop
7 to
rolling so
9
low.
on your defy danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Which
means
I love because you erased a bond, so the GM will offer a worse outcome, hard bargain, or ugly choice.
yeah.
I just really wanted to erase Theodore knows the secrets of the wilds at this point. It's like you're
Clearly
revisiting
not
the
true.
time.
Yeah, so maybe
Oh.
I think what's happening here now is as you sing, you're trying to sort of like harmonize with yourself, and then you notice that you're sort of like going out of pitch, and the harmony is breaking down, becoming like aharmonic, and it's at that point that Aster starts to chime in, and you manage to sort of correct the tone that you're going for. However, um, I think it's like as you start singing, you start to discern some kind of message in the sound that surrounds you, and you can only make out the fear of the creatures around you, and you think to yourself that if you continue singing, it will bring many more of them to you right away. However, there is a chance that you will also be able to communicate with them. So, which do you want to do? Do you want to stop, or do you want to continue singing?
That's a really hard choice. I think I feel bad because I feel like this is almost anticlimactic, but I think fear is not an emotion that Theodore ever wants to inspire in people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when Theodore sings and what reflects back at him is fear, he immediately sort of stops singing. And so and at that point you sort of hear those like final echoes reverberate around this like crystalline chamber, until it's deathly quiet again.
Okay.
Aside from like the drip of stalactites or and things like that.
All right. Yeah. So I think you make the decision, and at this point, you feel a weight on your shoulder as one of these creatures has dropped down and is hanging off of you. Theodore, what do you do?
Oh, I think he'll flinch. I think he's very sensitive. Like his skin has heightened whatever heightened sensitivity.
Okay.
So he's gonna like flinch. The thing is cold and icky and gross and wet, and he lacks sunshine and stuff like that. So he's gonna flinch, like try and shake it off.
So you flinch, and the creature drops to the ground and shatters instantly. And then all of the creatures around you start to become agitated, and they start to kind of gather together, and it seems like they're preparing to attack. What do you do? So everyone can see this.
Yeah, I was just yeah.
I might interrogate some fiction. Am I able to spout lore on these things?
Yeah, I think so.
Are they? Yeah. So if they're, yeah.
Yeah, I think you can try to see if you recognize them. Like you already just sort of like thought about how the best way to kill them might be, or what the best way to kill them might be. So if you want to try to spout lore, yeah.
I might as well. It's the ranger seems to be big on fiction interrogation. Oh, I might just make this. That's a 5. I've got +2 to intelligence, and I get a +1 to spout lore about the wilds and its creatures or about monsters.
Mm-hmm.
for a monster.
Okay, so you got a 7 to 9. Is that right?
That's a 7 to 9. Yep.
Okay. So I choose one. Okay. Make something interesting. Tell you something interesting. Ask you to make up something interesting, but then they'll tell you what else you've heard that complicates things. Why don't you go ahead and make up something interesting, and I'll give you the complication.
Alright, so I shouldn't make it too complicated. So these are said to be imbued, much like I am. They are brought to life by someone in order to achieve something.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you learned that, and I think you also learned that, or not learn, but recall that they have the capacity to act as one. That is a thing they can do through their communication. So that is something that they use in the work that they are intended to do, or whatever they do. They will tend to act together.
Wonderful. I just move closer to, or probably between the other two,
Yeah.
and try and pull them closer to me, and say, "These stones function as a team. We would do well to follow them."
Leave it to me. And can I step in front
Go ahead.
and turn into a bear?
All right, go
Yes!
for it.
Yeah.
So you
Don't bury the lead.
So you can just do that, right? You can just turn.
I can.
Yeah. Okay. So you are a bear. What do you do?
Well, let's try and like cover the others. Like make sure that I'm in between the new monster and them. Just kind of like growl intimidatingly.
So yeah, so I think you let out this growl and just like reverberates through this cavern, and it's this very deep sound that is unfamiliar to this place, and all of these little creatures, they start to like they sort of like cower away when they hear your roar. But then, like, they all, like, gather together and they form into, like, this one big humanoid shape and start to, like, imitate your bear intimidation pose. What do you do?
God, they know my tricks. Yeah. That's all I had.
Maybe sensing your apprehension, I like to think that Theodore will say, "But you are a natural being, and therefore much mightier and stronger than these mere fictions of a beast."
Okay. So I don't think you have the bard move that lets you give bonuses to people, right? You have heal and
no, I don't.
Attack, right? Yeah. Okay. So you're just saying
purely
this.
Like narrative fiction. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that they sense your hesitation and they attack. They're just kind of like they're in like the bear form, but then they like coil back, and they make themselves into like a kind of like spear and just like shoot at you. They're all like piled up together. So how do you react, Aster?
I can't dodge out of the way because I've got to protect these people. So I'll just try and like swipe at it with a paw, try and like either misdirect it or cause some damage as they stab me.
Okay, so do defy danger or dexterity, and let's see how it goes.
Oh no. I'm so clumsy though. It is a 7.
A 7. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you can protect one of them, but which one? Who are you gonna protect?
Oh god. Uh, uh, Anakin is strong. They're made of stone. They can take it. I'll protect Theodore.
All right.
Yes.
It's squishy and smells like vanilla and romance.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, uh, just give me a moment here. Need to pull up a monster in the good old Dungeon World book. I think it's maybe you're taking like if I recall correctly, there is something about this in Worlds of Adventure. Yeah. Monsters. Yes. So it's large and okay, let's go with 1d6 plus 3 AP armor piercing. Roll for damage.
Who's that?
Oh, that's you.
Oh, I was like, yeah, take that, Alex. All right, 1d6 AP.
Yeah.
Plus what? Sorry.
It was plus 3. Plus 3.
Oh boy. All right, and they reduced the amount of health we have, so I am down to. I just took 9, so I'm down to 11.
Yeah, so it probably just like slams into you, and I think like probably the group itself also like takes damage. Like some of them just like shatter against you, but like it's still like just like knocking parts of you off, and you're probably like kind of like almost laid flat. You have to take a staggered step back because you know they were coming right for Aster, but then Aster batted them away, and then poof, right into you. So yeah, okay.
Cool.
I think Theodore, you were spared the attack. What do you do?
So I think like Theodore is kind of punched behind Aster.
Mm-hmm.
But upon seeing these things attack his colleagues, he will try and draw himself up into like an intimidating manner, which, to be frank, is not very intimidating because he's not that tall. And will let out this terrifying, deafening shriek. To hopefully, and I'm thinking like, with the intent of like, you know, it's such a high pitched, nasty shriek, it'll hopefully shatter these things.
Okay.
As you know, opera singers do with glass, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think is me invoking an arcane art.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right to me. So roll for it.
Cool. Please, can I roll more than Snake Eyes or 2?
Yes.
Awesome. So that's an 11.
11. Okay, cool. So, then I think you have to roll for damage, right?
Oh yeah, I do. I'll just weapon and damage dice. 5 plus 1 is 6.
Okay. And is that armor piercing or not?
Let's see. I don't think it says. This is a foe takes 1d6 plus 1 damage and
Okay.
doesn't specify any other tags.
Yeah, so it's not. Okay. Cool. Okay. Alright, so you did 4 damage, right?
6.
Oh, six,
I
six
did.
damage, sure, yeah. Okay. Alright. Cool. Alright, so yeah, so you let out this shriek, and I think that there's like I think they like hear it, and like they start to they like actually like all cluster up into like a ball. And then like the ones on the outside start to resonate, and then they like shatter, but then the ones on the inside like get back up again. Okay, so Aster, you've or actually, why don't we see what Vanagon's gonna do here? You've managed to steel yourself after being hit. What do you do?
So I have a move here. When you enter into a conflict, roll plus int, and this is me getting my readiness together,
Okay.
which is like a secondary resource that I can spend throughout the fight.
Yep.
So I might just break that up. And it's a 10 on the dice plus int 12. So I have three readiness, which I can spend to like defy danger or take something from them, or ask what. Hey, let's do this on the moment. Know their thoughts. Ask the GM what's my opponent's next move, and take +1 forward.
Okay.
Their next move.
I think you can observe that they are going to strike Theodore, and that they'll probably try to repeat the same move they just did.
Right. I might put myself between Theodore and them, and ready like a big stone punch that I'm going to try and drive back through the tip of this spear.
Okay. Yeah, so you're gonna wait. You're gonna like wait for their attack and then hit them while they're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so yeah, so I think they see you move, but they are already committed to it, and they make another sort of bounding, spearing attack against Theodore, and you're in the way, and you're ready to make your swing. So why don't you roll to yeah,
Hack and or
I
slash,
think
or-
I think you can get away with doing hack and slash here because you were prepared for this. So go ahead and roll hack and slash. Yeah.
Sure. When you say get away with, hack and slash is
Well,
my-
because Aster
strength.
had to defy danger to hit them,
Oh, right.
but
Yeah.
I think in this case you prepared for it. So yeah.
All right. So that's a 9 on the dice, which makes it an 8.
All right.
So I will do my damage and take theirs.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. So then you need to roll both of those. What'd you get for your
Alright.
damage?
6 plus 1 is 7.
Uh huh.
I'll take 3 plus whatever.
Okay. 3 plus 3.
3
6.
plus 3. I'll take 6.
All right, cool. Yeah, so
That
like
was-
I think it's just like you're just like punching this thing that's coming at you, and like the like edge of it is like shattering against your fist, and like your fist is like breaking away, and like it's just like
Yeah.
super like anime like colliding forces.
I had is like the scene in the Avengers where Hulk punches the giant snake thing, like that, but yeah, with the anime take on it, with like bits splintering off, and yeah.
Oh, like you're like getting driven back, but like your
Yes.
fist is extended. Like, all right. So Aster, you've seen this. You see them scatter again. What do you do?
Well, Answer is pretty angry right now, so I might just, like, in my bare form, just bring down my full weight and just start smashing
Yeah, like
some of the pieces.
Okay, put those bare hands to use. Roll for hack and slash.
Barely restrained.
That is a 7.
All right, a 7. Okay, so what are you going to choose there from your options?
I think I just deal my damage and take theirs on a 7.
Okay, so roll for your damage.
1.
Oof. Oof. Yeah, and roll for theirs, which is 1d6 plus 3.
9.
All right. So, yeah, so I think you like go to try smashing them, but like you're just too slow. And like they're scattering like around your fists, and like you only manage to hit one of them. And then they like crawl up onto your back, and like they're like all over you, and they're like stabbing you with their hands, and you're like, "Roar! Angry
They had
bear."
opposable thumbs.
Yeah. All right, so Theodore, you see that your comrade is in dire straits. They can barely hang on. What are you going to do?
Oh my god. Well, I feel like his chest is heaving because he's like just let out this hideous shriek of like the mandrake. And I feel like he's seen it work once before, so we're going to try and do it again. But this time it's even more desperate now because this great and wondrous being that is Aster's and it's in danger.
Yes. Yeah. So go ahead and roll for your arcane art.
These freaking cursed dice. Let's see. Oh, that's a 12.
Okay. Cool. All right. So what do you get on a 10 plus with that?
You achieve this selected effect, which is a 1d6 plus 1 damage to
Okay. Go for
shattering these things. That's a 3.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like you're able to like you like scream, and you're able to get like some of them to detach from Aster, but most of them are just stuck on there. And yeah, it didn't have a big effect. Okay. So yeah,
I'm
Bannigan,
sorry, Esther.
what do you do? Like this is pretty bad. What do you do?
Me?
No, Bannigan.
Bannigan, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just muted. I'm going to. I want to try and figure it out if they. Is there like a central stone? Is there one that they're forming around? If I feel like we're cutting heads off the Hydra here.
Yeah, you don't notice one, and from what you recall, they kind of have like a network consciousness. So there is no core there's no spoke in this network. It's just a series of
Right.
sorry, there's no hub. It's just a series of connected nodes.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to so they're all over Asta.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump onto them, but more pointedly onto Asta, and start flailing around with my limbs and the weight of my body, and try to crush as many of them between us as I can.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. I think you need to roll defy danger dexterity here, because there's a good chance you could end up hurting Aster with this maneuver.
I might spend my second readiness to get a 10+ result on that defy danger.
Cool. Okay, so go ahead and hack and slash then.
I will hack and slash. Very well selected. 7 minus 1. That's a 6.
All right, does someone want to aid? Aster, do you want to aid?
I will definitely aid.
You're my bestie.
Okay, roll to aid.
That is a 7 on the die.
All right. So I think that gives you a +1, but you're also exposed to the consequences. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think... Okay, so what that means is that, Aster, you are also going to take damage if damage is exchanged. So what do you choose, Bannigan, on your hack and slash there? You got a 7 to 9.
Yep, so yeah, I deal damage and take it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the...
So
I don't
roll...
think there's a choice on a 7 to 9, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. 7 to 9. Deal your damage and I take the attack as well.
Sorry, I was thinking of a different game there. Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and roll your damage and their damage. And again.
Alright, so that's a 6 + 1 for my damage to them, which is 7.
Alright.
And I will take... oh, wow. Yeah, I will also take 6 + 1.
Okay, so
Seven.
you both take 7 damage.
Yeah. Now this is cool. Let's look at what happens when people drop to 0 health in World's Adventure.
Yeah, cool. All right, so Aster, also note your HP falling there.
I'm
Got
alive.
it. All right, and we're going to let's do it.
Guys, I'm so bad at games.
It was fun playing with you for like the whole 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was real. It was real.
When you're dying, you catch a glimpse of what lies beyond the black gates of Death's Kingdom. The GM will describe it. Okay, so yeah, I think what lies beyond the black gates for Bannigan is you start to... So I'll just describe the way that this scenario played out first before we get to the black gates. And I think what it was is like you threw yourself onto Aster's back, and you were both like sort of like, you know, writhing around trying to smash these things, and like there's like all this like blood that's like pouring off of like Aster onto the sort of gemstone ground around you, and Bannigan, you're being successful in like breaking through these things to some extent. You know, you do smash them here and there, but what you find is that the shards of the gems are starting to like work their way into your body. And as this happens, there's like gemstone veins that start to like form inside of your body. And you feel yourself like being broken apart by them. So I think what lies beyond Death's black gates for you is you see your visions sort of start to go kind of like red and crystalline, and you begin to understand the consciousness of these creatures you have been fighting. You begin to become connected to them, and you feel yourself slipping into their mind. So, I think then we have to roll, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Roll plus nothing.
Well, Let's see how this goes. Oh, it's a 9. I can take a 9. 9
Okay.
is okay.
Can we aid? Is that a thing we can do? Or is this
Ah,
like a
I don't think you
I've
have.
always seen the roll plus nothing as like a really prescriptive nothing.
Yeah, like I think the thing is here you'd have to give me like an extremely persuasive case for why you can aid on let's not die. Like so if you can think of something really good, I'll accept it, but I'm probably going to be pretty strict on this.
ooh? Well, I guess I kind of go to Theodore being a being of nature and life,
Mhm.
and has a voice so saccharine and pure that it may invoke some kind of healing property for this creature of the earth.
Mm, okay.
If you say no, it's fine.
Here is where I have questions about rolling aid, because if you roll a 7 to 9 or a 6 minus on your aid roll, you are also
Then you're
exposed
also
to
in
the
danger.
consequences. So you would also die if that was the case, right? Um,
Yeah,
so
so maybe not.
yeah,
That has changed in Worlds of Adventure too. You're exposed to the consequences anytime you aid.
yeah, right. Um, So here's what happens on a 7 to 9. Death will offer you a bargain, take it and stabilize, or refuse and forfeit your soul as if you had rolled a 6 minus.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so I think that there is a a voice that comes to you through the consciousness of the gemstone, and it says to you, Golem, you have come to my realm and encountered my servants and caused disruption here. This displeases me. However, you may still be of some service, imperfect though you are, hewn from rock, not proper crystal materials. I can improve you. I can make you whole. But you must promise when you come to me to submit to my request.
Um,
If you do not, be assured I will destroy you utterly.
um, stone is stone. We are not so different. I may be as precious to you as you are semi-precious to the humans.
And I think death says to you, you mistake my nature, but your promise will do. You will know when your debt needs to be paid. Remember it then. And you see the sort of clouding fade from your vision, and I think it's like there the gemstone that is working its way through your body and splitting apart, it starts to kind of like reconfigure, and it smooths over the imperfections in your body so that you form like a more sort of like perfectly geometric appearance and visage. So yeah, there's parts of your body that were like kind of like roughly hewn, but now are like covered over with like gems. Um, yeah. So okay, so you
Sorry,
Ma-
I just wanted to make one thing clear because I think I missed it as we
Yeah.
were dipping through the fiction there. Did I make the deal with death there, or with the consciousness of the gemstones?
Just to, be clear on like the sort of player level, you were dealing with the Magus.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So the Magus has made a deal with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that requires me to remember information, a thing that I am strictly not good at.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that, right? It's written into your body, right? Your contract is written into your body, but we'll see if you can remember. Yeah. Okay, so I think what that means is you stabilize. I think it means you go to 1 HP. Um,
Sure.
I think that's what that's supposed to mean. Yeah. Okay, so the remaining creatures, there's very few of them now. And I think they're just desperately trying to climb up onto Aster's head and like gouge out your eyes. What do you do, Aster?
Oh God. I don't think I want to try it before I get brutally murdered.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how long it takes, which is Call of the Wild to summon more animals.
Okay.
I possibly try and like call some bats to like pick these creatures off of me.
Yeah, okay, cool. Go for it.
It's a 5.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, so I think this is pretty obvious. They're just gonna deal damage to you, so it's a D6 plus 3. Roll for it.
I'm it no matter what. I rolled a 1 plus 3 is 4 on my current HP.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so roll plus nothing to see how you do here.
7.
Okay. So I think this is different. I think. Ooh. So for Aster, I mean, I think Death's Black Gates have got to be like a bear den, and you see like this giant white bear, like it's like a spirit bear, but it's like very large. It's like double the size of a grizzly, and it stares into your eyes, and it it says to you that there is a time for for waking and for going out into the world, and there is a time for hibernation, and the time of the forest in the waking world has come to an end. So you must abandon your hope of saving the forest if you wish to go back into the world and leave the side of your bear mother. You can still continue on your journey, but you must not deviate from the way of nature.
If this is nature's wish, then I must respect it. Please, let me
Okay.
go back to my friends.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So you made a pact with the bear mother. This is how it's going to go. So you go back to 1 HP. Theodore, your friends are a mess. Everything's going around wrong around you. What do you do?
Oh man. Well, I feel like regardless, he's just like crying tears of sap at this point. They're
Okay.
kind of like rolling like molasses down his cheeks. It's real creepy. Um I feel kind of bad using the same move over and over again, but I think it kind of narratively makes sense with everyone dying around him to let out another like feral, desperate screech at these things to try and
Okay. Yeah.
be away with them.
Go for it.
But this one is like filled with much more like horse
Right. Yeah. Like your voice is going hoarse.
devastation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh god, I don't want to roll. That's a 7.
Okay. And on a 7,
Yes.
what do you do with this move, with Arcane Art?
Good question. On a
It's like-
7, your spell works, but you also draw unwanted attention, or your magic reverberates to other targets, affecting them as well. GM's choice.
Oh, these are all so bad. Oh no. Okay. Whew.
The plus side, I'll get to go to bed at like a reasonable time tonight.
Oh.
Silver lining.
Oh boy. Okay. I think what it is yeah, you okay, go ahead and roll for your damage.
Okay.
You could have healed us. You could have been that saving light.
The voice of reason. That's a 3.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I think you managed to shatter another couple of them, and one of them just like sort of like shudders and like jumps off Aster's head and goes running off into the trees, and this shriek that you've let out is just reverberating throughout this whole cavern, and it's so powerful, and you can't help but think that pretty soon something else is going to be upon you. Your friends are in dire condition. What do you do?
Oh, jeez. I have to help them. I think.
I thought you had it last time.
Theodore collapses to his knees, like in front of, I guess, who's closest? I guess
We
Aster's
were
closest.
on top of each other, so I
You
don't
should
know.
both close then. And she's like shoulders heaving, like almost spent. And can try and heal some people.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, jeez. Okay. This is another charisma, and I think like this song sounds like the Weeping Willow. It sounds like a babbling brook, like languid and still and calm. It sounds like the sun on a lazy afternoon. And all that fun stuff. And that's 11.
Okay. So roll to heal, everybody.
Cool. I got a 7. Hang on. Do I get a healing? Yeah, 1d6 plus 1. So I got a 6. So everyone gets to heal 7.
All right. So everybody goes up to 8 HP. Cool. So yeah, you feel the life return to you. I think even Bannigan, who's like, you're not even a creature of flesh and blood, but somehow you feel this strange alien vitality surge through your rocky form, and it's somehow pleasant and refreshing in a way that is odd to you, but nevertheless is welcome. All right, so you are kind of both back up on your feet. Aster, are you gonna stay in your bear form?
Yeah, I'll stay in my bear form.
Okay, cool. So I think what starts coming is there's like a it's yeah, you hear it from the distance, and there's like this kind of like booming noise that's coming at like a repetitive rhythm, and there's almost like a kind of like bell like harmonic sound that follows each of the booms, that's reverberating through this cave, and you see it come over this rise, and it is like this large I think it's like almost looks like a scorpion, but it's tall enough to walk over top of the trees that surround you, and it has like a very long neck and a long tail that falls behind it, with this kind of like bulbous end to it, and that you hear the like ringing sound whenever it walks. It's coming from its tail, and it walks up to you, and it's towering up above you, and you see that it has the face of it's probably, yeah, it has the head of like a jackal. Maybe you've never seen one before, but maybe Aster, you're kind of familiar with this creature, just from what you've understood from the animals around you. And it's like a jackal, but it has like this like long kind of like a beard that goes down from underneath its head, and it looks down at you and it says, "Why have you come here?"
Question.
Yeah.
What's the most effective way to kill this?
Yeah, so the most effective way to kill it is to go for the head. Yeah, definitely. No question.
Thank you.
So anyone want to speak up and answer it?
Oh, maybe the bard should. Maybe, oh yeah, the bard should probably have a shot.
I was having Aster would, in
But
bear
there.
form, would be like. We see Theodore step forward, dwarfed by this thing. It's like this little tiny green humanoid creature in front of it, and we are here to see the. Are we here to see the Magus, or are we
Yeah,
going to kill
yeah.
the Magus? I can't remember.
No, to see the Magus.
Cool. He will. Yeah, say we are here to see the Magus. For the forest is dying.
The forest. And then like it looks around below it, and it's like, this forest is not capable of death. It is as it has always been.
well, the forest is capable of many things. Life, death. It is a cycle that continues.
And then it's just like, is that so? And then just like brings up an arm and like smashes one of the trees around you, and there's just like these like crystalline bits that go flying everywhere. It's like, is it dead or wrecked or still living? What do you suppose?
Well, I know that we never truly die, for we return to the earth from whence we came, and then continue to give life to the earth. So
Yeah, and it just says this barren thing has no life. The earth gives it no life. And it's just like smashes another tree. Why have you come here? Do not speak nonsense.
Oh, it is not nonsense that I speak, for if you listen closely. For can you not hear the soft whispery like wind on the air in these stagnant caves? Can you not smell the moss that imbues these walls? Can you not hear those delicate tinkling bells of crystals in this wondrous forest? This is unique to my own world, but it is very special, and you should see the life that it is capable of, even in these dark depths.
And it says, you speak at length, and yet I do not understand your meaning. What forest do you speak of? This it cannot be this one.
Oh, no, not of this forest, but of the one above, the green forest.
Green forest. I've never seen such a thing.
Oh, but you
Perhaps it
must.
does exist.
I am of this green forest. There's many of me, but not quite like me. Many of me, but if you merged me with these crystal trees, something like that.
Perhaps the Magus will attempt such an experiment. He is a maker of many things and a worker of many ways. And
Maybe
the creature starts to like reach its hand. It's not its hand, but it's like its claw down to like pick you up. What do you do?
I shall let it pick me up. I want to see where this goes.
Okay.
But I will say, yeah, maybe meet him. Will you take us to see the Magus?
And yeah, it picks you up and like brings you in front of its face, and like you're like looking eye to eye with it. And its head is probably about the size of your torso. And it says, yes, perhaps I will take you to the Magus. Perhaps I will. Why should I bring the others?
Oh, but they are, this fairy one, very swift and wise and strong. And
I nod my head when you say swift, wise, and strong.
And I keep the swift, but
And I do believe the other companion, the one of granite and rock and fortitude, I do believe that he was also birthed by a Magus, maybe not this Magus, but of another Magus. And I do believe that they would be very good friends.
Okay, so I think this is where you're gonna want to try to parley with, yeah, this creature.
Sorry, I like being the cryptic.
Oh, it's
The
fine.
cryptic and asshole. Okay, cool. I got re-roll.
So, do you have like a move as a bard that gives you a bonus to doing this, or?
Good question.
No, it seems like.
I
Oh, you haven't taken charming and open or anything like that, right? You took what was the move you took? The extra move.
the one where I can command plants, which I completely forgot about in like the past battle, which would have been actually kind of useful.
It could have been, yeah.
But next time.
Okay, so yeah, so just parley. Yeah.
Yes, but I think that's a charisma.
It is charisma, yes.
Yes, then That's a 9.
Okay. So you have to tell me what you want them to do and what the reason is they should do it, just to make it clear.
Hmm. Um, I assume the Vegas has spent most of their time living under these catacombs. This is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah,
So the pitch will be the pursuit of knowledge is such a noble objective in one's life, and consider these more than beings, but also gifts in pursuit of that knowledge. For they bring with them unique experiences that they have lived in their lives, and I cannot think of a better way to pass one's time than sharing stories and experiences and learning and growing together.
Okay, so you are offering up like these people as valuable things, and
Yeah.
you are asking to be taken to the Magus. Okay, and
Correct.
so out of 7 to 9, you need to give like concrete reassurance. So that could be a threat. No wait. They'll want some reassurance up front. Yeah. So
I've got some reassurance.
demonstrate the value of your friends immediately.
Yeah, I've got some reassurance. I will
Okay.
turn to each of them and say, "Speak, friends, of your most valiant experience that you've had. The one moment that truly defines you as a valuable being."
Go for it.
Uh, I'm still a bear, so I'm gonna like try and mime out the story of me finding my bear mother. Try and like play act, like me being wounded and then finding a bear and then having bear hands, which I'll try and point to.
I will say that you can transform into another form if you want to for this. You don't have to
I
do it
know,
as a
I don't
bear.
want to.
You're gonna try to do it as a bear. Okay. All right. So roll to defy danger or charisma.
Nice. That's a 3.
Okay. Great. Bannigan, why are you valuable to the Magus?
I'm trying to help you guys.
Yeah. Um. Oh boy, why am I valuable? Um. I I launch into a story that goes on for probably about 3 times as long as the story needs to, and it's all delivered in a completely flat monotone. The high points are um, the time that I wrestled a giant eagle from the sky, um, and killed it with one of its own talons, um, and then I took its eggs and created a feast for the town, uh, like none had ever seen. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am incredibly impressive. And then I flip.
Yeah. It's kind of like show off.
Mm.
All right, so I think you probably need to roll to defy danger charisma there too.
I would not be surprised. Rivo? Oh boy, that is a 6. That is a flat 6.
Okay.
There's nothing happening there.
Uh,
High
yeah.
five.
So I think that the creature just looks at you and listens to your stories and then turns to Theodore and says, "The Magus will not be impressed by these pathetic antics. I will take you, but your friends, they will not come with us." And just turns away and starts moving away. Yeah. What do you do? The
And
other two of you.
So anyway, I like to get that shot of like this thing is talking up with me, and then like Theodore just like the like shoulder shrug, like I tried.
I tried. All right. So what are you gonna do, Aster and Bannigan?
I've got a thing. I call out to this tall scorpion jackal man.
Yeah.
And I say, wait, before you go. There is a part of the story I did not tell you.
Just like...
It is about the time I shot you in the face, and then I shoot him in the face.
Okay, go for it. Roll for volley.
Oh man, I'm a ranger. I had to roll volley at some point.
Yeah.
It's all right. So that's an 8 on the die plus dexterity. Is a 9. Oh, it's a 9, and I get a +1 for acting on my what is the most efficient way to kill it.
Uh-huh.
So that's 10.
Okay.
10. Cool. I did a thing.
Nice.
All right. So,
a 10. I deal damage.
Yeah, deal your damage.
I will roll the orange dice. It is a 2 +1, 3.
Okay. Yeah. So I think you hit it in the straight in the face, and there's like, yeah, there's just like it, like you're looking, like you kind of like look back to your friends and shrug there, Theodore. Then you look to the jackal and you just see this arrow like go like through its jaw, and then it's just like it. I think it screams and lets out this kind of like howl, and it starts like smashing its tail against the ground. There's like this terrible cacophony as like this like gong noise is like ringing throughout the whole cavern, and it's going to fling you out of its hand, Theodore. So I think you are just going to roll Defy Danger Dexterity here to see if you can make a decent landing. You're muted.
I actually passed that. That's an 8.
Okay, so you get what? Worse outcome, hard bargain, or an ugly choice, I believe it was. Yeah. So, I think so you get a worse outcome. So I think what it is that you go flying, and you find yourself separated from your friends by like a fair distance, but you do manage to avoid, like you probably like land in like this like big pile of moss, and you're just like covered in like spores and stuff, but you're like, oh, I'm okay. But yeah, you can't even like see your friends, you're so far away from them. You just see in the distance like this creature is like, wah. So okay, so Aster, what do you do? You've seen this very angry, very large creature. What do you do?
Oh God. You know what? I might try and defend Bannigan
Uh-huh.
using the basic move. So
Best friends!
Okay, roll to defend.
11.
Awesome. Okay. So what do you get from that?
Alex, we can play together anytime.
Yeah, you hold 3. Okay. So yeah, you can redirect an attack from what you're defending. So from Bannigan to yourself. Have the attack's effect or damage. Open up the attacker to an ally, giving that ally +1 forward against them. And you can deal half your damage to the attacker. Okay.
Sweet ass.
So,
So I just hold on to this.
I think it's just, yeah, you just hold on to it and you can activate it if the creature tries to attack Bannigan. Um, and I think it just it's just gonna try. Yeah, like I think it's just gonna try to smash you, Bannigan, with its claw. It's just gonna go for it. So I guess you're gonna roll to defy danger or dexterity. Get out
I
of its
might
way.
spend my last readiness to avoid this attack.
Okay.
I can just read it in its steps.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I think you jump, or like how do you avoid it? Tell me how you avoid it. What's the way you do it?
I think a jump is probably a little bit more agile than I'm giving
Yeah.
Bannigan credit for. I think it's like he sees it coming just because he understands the flow of the fight, and as the strike comes down, it's more of like a clunky combat roll.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Across sort of one shoulder.
Yeah, it's like a Dark Souls encumbered roll.
Spot on. No, that's the perfect touchdown. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice.
Fat roll. Yep.
Yeah, fat roll. Yeah. So okay, so you get out of the way. Claw comes crashing down.
Yeah.
What do you do?
And that's, by the way, that's my last readiness. That's the last time I can pull that bullshit for a while. I'm. Oh, I hate to sound like a broken record. I'm gonna. So I pull up from the roll, just onto one knee.
Yeah.
And the crossbow is right at the hip, and it fires off another shot into the face.
Roll volley. Let's see how this goes.
Oh, nice. That's 9 on the dice. Plus 1, 2 is 11.
Okay.
Stakes feel pretty high, man.
All right. Damage. Go.
Oh, damn it. Let's do this. 6 plus 1, 7.
Okay, 7 damage. Not bad. So you did previously. I think you did, what was it, like 3?
It was 3. Yeah, 2 on the dice plus 1.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think just looking at this here. Yeah, so I think you get like another bolt like going up through its jaw, and it's just like it can't really like operate its jaw very well anymore because like there's just like these bolts sticking through it, and like it's just like enough, and like it just says quit that, you small thing. What do you want?
I want you to acknowledge my power, my strength, my function. I'm good at things.
It says
acknowledge that.
And it says very well. And like it's just like, yeah, there's like blood like running down from, like, it's going down like its beard and like falling to the ground like little droplets. And it says, I cannot take you to the Magus like this. You must make your own way there, but I will leave you be, and I will tell him of your coming. And it just kind of like starts like kind of unevenly plodding backwards out of the cave.
Wait, can I do a thing?
Yeah.
It in the face.
No, I think as it retreats, I think Theodore is going to say, but please hold a moment, for I have one more trick to show you. It is not a trick, it is something much greater than a trick.
Like, I have little patience, be quick.
And I think he'll take, like, it's like kind of like the visual of Theodore taking like his massive stone claw at like his hand.
Yeah.
And then he will sing to this being.
Okay.
And again, it's very like soft, and it smells like honeysuckle and rustling leaves in the summer breeze, and like dappled sunlight. And I'm gonna try and heal him.
Okay, go for it. Roll for it.
I hope this doesn't go badly. Whew. Okay, that's a 10.
Okay, good. All right. So roll
Nice.
for how much you heal.
Awesome. I feel like real paranoid rolling these random dice. That's a 2.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's probably like one of the bolts like falls out of its jaw and you see it sort of start to heal a little bit. It says I cannot help you, but you have proven your worth to me. If you find yourself at the Magus's tower and are in need of help, I will do what I can to aid you. And I think you can write a bond with the creature. And the creature's name is Alabeth.
Oh, awesome. And then Theodore will give him a very somber expression and say, "I thank you dearly for this gift that you have given me in return. And I am sorry that I could not do more for you, but I greatly appreciate this."
Yeah, and it just kind of like, retracts its claw and starts moving away slowly to the distance. Okay. So, yeah, what bond are you going to write with it?
Oh, man. I'm not afraid of it. I feel like it's almost like it's not quite an intimate moment, but it's like a shared understanding of worth or value, or like that. I feel like there was some kind of exchange to that effect.
Yeah, so like Alabeth has recognized my worth. And
Yeah, and vice versa.
yeah, okay. And I theirs.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So, yeah, so I think this might be a good place for you to make camp. If you want to do that. Seems like a reasonable opportunity here. Cool. So, make camp move. Right. Make camp. Choose someone to manage provisions. Then if you eat and drink, and if you have enough XP, you may level up. Remember, you get an XP for every miss in this game. So I feel like, Lauren, you have 2, and the rest of you maybe also have about that many. How many do you think you have?
Yeah, I think I've got 2.
How many what, sorry?
You get 1 XP for every missed roll, every 6 minus.
Oh my god, I got like at least 3.
Okay.
Not that I'm counting / that it matters. I failed a lot of rolls.
Yeah. Alex, how do you think you're doing there?
I think I got 3.
Okay, so you might as well mark that XP. It's not enough to level. And tell the GM what precautions, if any, you take to avoid detection or see danger coming. So what do you do to make camp in this crystalline forest?
I have one suggestion, but it's a bit silly.
Okay.
Because I kind of like to think that we're underground, which means that these plants that I have some domain over aren't like terribly useful for the most part, but I could envision encouraging these roots to grow down and break through the rock to like create at least some kind of safe / like concealed camp for us in the like shrouded in like this nature hug branches. Oh, sorry, roots.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, so I think it could go two ways. I could see it either like you sort of, I think the only plants you've come across so far are like, is like the moss or, so like that might be an option. Another way would
Then
be like to try to see if like these trees actually are plants. You could try to kind of like commune with them and be like, is this actually a plant or is it just rock? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, I can see that. I can see like a kind of like open your
yeah.
brain kind of like move here to see what happens.
I guess I won't try and complicate it because I feel like I've made things very complicated already. um, so yeah, maybe I just tend to like this mossy bedding. I'm like, hey, I landed in some moss over here. This is really comfy and great. But you guys are like, it's kind of damp and gross, and I'm like, but it's so good. Like, it feels so.
Yeah, okay. Does anyone else take any special precautions?
Uh, Actually, since I totally botched it earlier, I might try and call some bats to help keep watch.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll just say you can just do that because it's not like there's a pressing danger right now.
Nice.
So yeah, you just like call it, like what does it look like when you call it to the bats?
I think I'm like still in my bear form and just like pounding the pads on the ground to like make vibrations.
Uh
And so it's like a low guttural roar.
yeah. And they just kind of like swarm around and like sort of a light on the trees around you and they're like hanging off of the trees like keeping watch for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, cool. Yeah. And okay, so who's going to manage provisions?
Do any of us actually eat? Like, I don't. One of us is a plant and the other
Yeah,
one's
so
made of
maybe
rock.
nobody eats in this group.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, we
Yeah.
found the loophole there.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so if you get at least a few hours of sleep and ate and drank the night before, heal damage equal to half your maximum HP rounded up.
Wonderful. While we're in this camp moment, am I able to make a grizzly trophy out of some of the shattered green gems? Or
Oh,
shattered
yeah, totally. Yeah, go for it.
Wonderful. So you tell me a non-magical move they had that I. So I'll make like a kind of so because they can make that lattice work, which
Yeah.
they reconstruct their body with. I'll like pull the lattice out of one of them and create like a necklace
Uh-huh.
using itself as the chain, and leave just like a little bit at the bottom. And if someone were to wear that,
Yeah,
what
I
would they be able to do?
ooh. That is really interesting question. A non-magical thing that they could do. I think what it might be is that you don't make it into one, you make it into two, and the two people who wear that are able to have non-verbal communication with each other. Yeah, so you can silently communicate with one another, like kind of like, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I'll present one to each of you and say, I made these for you. I believe that it is a custom to make gifts for people for whom you feel fond. If I were to feel fond, I would feel fondly of you.
Yeah, and so I think this might be especially useful for Aster because like then you can even communicate in your bear form.
Nice.
Yeah,
But a Sir Barrington situation happening.
yeah. All right. Yeah. So there's no day or night down here, but you do get to rest a period of time. And how are we doing for time? check in. Or Alex, do you need to go to bed?
No, nothing pressing going on tomorrow.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so I think we're probably going to now go ahead and undertake a perilous journey. I think this is the appropriate place for it.
Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to do at the camp.
Okay.
To try out this Communion of Whispers thing.
Okay, cool. And what
So
does
I'm
that
spending
do?
time in a place calling on the spirits. I can like get visions.
Ooh. Yeah, okay. Go for it.
That is a 9.
Okay. So what do you get on a 9?
An unclear vision. Its meaning is murky.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think so. It's the spirits of this place that you commune with, right?
Yes.
The nature spirits. I think they give you an image of. There's 2 images that come to you. One of them is of a like a mole burrowing under the ground, and the other is of a great bird soaring through the sky. Those are the images you get. Yeah. Okay. So, do you get like a +1 for or anything, or is it just you just get the image?
No, just the image.
Okay, cool. All right, so I guess we're gonna roll to undertake a perilous journey. The food thing is obviously off the table, so when you travel through dangerous lands, indicate the course you'd like to take. The GM will tell you how far you should be able to get before needing to make camp. Then choose one party member to scout ahead and one to navigate, resolving those moves in that order. So because we don't really have a map or anything to work from, I'll just kind of give you a breakdown of like your alternate routes you could take. There is one which would be to try to cross the luminescent lake. So that would be quite quick, I guess, if you have the proper means to do so. However, you do need to figure out a way to get across. Another way would be to there's like a trail that you can discern that goes along the cavern wall, and it seems to disappear into some kind of tunnel, and you could go through there. And I think finally there is the option to, I think, like cross along the tops of like a bunch of giant mushrooms you see along the side of the lake. Yeah, you could probably use some adventuring gear to try to do that. So those are your 3 options. So which one do you think you'll take? And I should say that like you come to a rise at the edge of the forest, and you can see like off in the in the obscure distance of this cavern, there's a kind of like it's lit from below by this by this luminescent lake. There's this large obsidian ziggurat that you see back there, and you assume that must be the lair of the Magus, or the Magus's tower.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How large are these mushrooms?
Very large. Like they're like the size of like sequoia trees, you know, like just enormous mushrooms, you know.
So I was thinking boat, but I don't know if they're too large for that now.
You could maybe try to make one out of the mushroom flesh if you cut into it. Like, I could kind of see that being a possibility. So
I was thinking like hack off the top and then like the mushroom top you can like invert, and that's kind of like
yeah, so I should give you a better picture of what's
cool.
going on here. It's like you're kind of up like on
Yeah.
top of a cliff, and then like if you want to go down to the
Ah,
lake, it's like down below. But then like the mushrooms are sort of like coming out of the lake and like are like up around the roughly the level that you're at right now. So you can cross along the
nice. I
tops of
like it.
them. Yeah.
That sounds fun. Let's do that.
So your vote is for the mushrooms. What do the rest do you think?
As a giant or as a humanoid made of stone, my vote is for not water. I was not imbued with the knowledge of how to swim.
And Aster, what do you think?
Well, the spirits gave me a vision of a mole burrowing and a great bird soaring,
Uh-huh.
and neither of these images have anything to do with water.
Okay.
So obviously the spirits are telling me we need to go through that cave.
Okay, so it's going to be mushroom or cave. Which one do you think you want to do here?
I vote cave.
Okay, so cave. Theodore, do you concede the point here?
You could talk me into mushroom.
You could probably also talk me into mushroom.
Ah, but Aster, you're wise and great and destined for goodness. So I have a hard time thinking that I have any station um, to dissent from your vision, which clearly must have meant something.
Okay.
Well, this is what the spirits have ordained.
In an obscure vision. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not really nuts.
So, yes.
Although I can also see, I can also make a pitch for what is not more exhilarating and fun than flying through the air on these mushrooms. Surely you should take a chance on life, and who knows, it might be fun.
I feel like we're going cave. Okay. Yeah, so I think that the cave route you should be able to get there in uh 1 day roughly of travel if you aren't, seriously obstructed. So let's go ahead and figure out how the perilous journey is going to go. So I assume that Bannigan, you are going to scout ahead.
Yeah, I've got a move that supports that.
Okay. And so the other two roles here are to navigate. Oh yeah, there's just one. So who's going to navigate? It is with intelligence.
I am not very knowledgeable. How about you, Theodore?
Well, I was gonna say, I think I can read the moss on the cave walls, right, to at least get some semblance of direction and cock an ear to the wind and listen for where that breath of sweet fresh air is that I miss so dearly.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna navigate. Okay. So scout ahead. When you take point and look for anything out of the ordinary, roll plus wisdom. On a 10, choose 2. On a 7 to 9, choose 1. So what does your move do that gives you a bonus on this?
So it gives me one extra choice.
Which is what?
Yeah. So I rolled an 8. So sorry, the move is my background. So guide.
Okay.
When you scout ahead, you may choose one extra option, even on a 6-.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I get. So I roll an 8.
Yep. So you get to choose 2.
I get to choose 2. You get the drop on whatever lies ahead. You discern a beneficial aspect of the terrain, a shortcut, some shelter, or a tactical advantage. You discover something strange, interesting, grim, or dangerous. Let's get the drop on whatever lies ahead.
Uh-huh.
and discern a beneficial aspect of the terrain.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll just so that yeah, this one's mine. So the beneficial aspect of the terrain is that the uh, the moss seems to like flow the way that we want to head. So
Uh-huh.
it's easy to so it like covers our footsteps. There's no echo. We can step on the moss and it keeps it from reverberating out, especially my stony footsteps against the stone from reverberating through the corridor and alerting anyone.
Cool. So you're like able to move silently
Yeah,
towards your destination.
that work for y'all?
Yeah,
Nice.
great.
All
Everyone's
right.
really happy that boss is involved.
So, navigator, roll with intelligence.
Ooh, that's a 9. I didn't fail that like I thought I
All
was gonna fail
right.
it.
So on a 7 to 9, the GM chooses 1. You happen upon something strange, interesting, grim, or dangerous that the scout missed, or the going is slow, you wander off course, the GM will say which, and where you end up on the map. Yeah, so let's see here. Maybe should we do something fun from Perilous Wilds?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go ahead and
Please,
let's see what we can find here.
I haven't
Discovery.
played Perilous Wilds yet, so this is all exciting.
All right. So yeah. So roll 2d6. Tell me what the result is.
Everyone.
No, just someone. I guess probably our
I'll get it.
navigator. Yeah. Roll 2d6.
Uh, 7.
Okay. 7. All right. So page 49. Cool. All right. So roll. Roll 1d12.
Ooh. Hang on. Yeah, that's right.
What did you?
It's the computer's thinking very hard about this.
Oh, okay.
So
This is like the hardest
maybe someone else.
computation ever.
Sorry, is this
Yeah,
a D?
maybe someone else should roll a 1d12. My internet is.
D12 is an 8.
Oh, an 8? Okay.
Oh, cool.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, cool. And now roll another d12.
Oh, jeez. I gotta change the color. Oh, purple. 10.
A 10. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, so I think you're coming through this this tunnel network, and you're moving slowly over the moss. And you can kind of like feel, because of the shifting, like, even though are you carrying torches with you? How are you illuminating these tunnels? Because like the light from the lake is like very faintly present, but it's not very strong in this tunnel once you get in there.
I think torches make sense.
Okay, so yeah, so you have torchlight, and yeah, you can see that there's sort of like areas to the sides of your path that sometimes like the tunnels open up, and there's like pits that open up below them to the side, and you have to kind of like delicately move alongside them, and there's kind of like the feeling of cold air that comes off of these pits. And as you come by one of them, you're like making your way, past it and delicately stepping on the moss. But I think it must be Bannigan. You notice that from the glint of the torchlight, you see two large eyes below you. What do? You have the drop on them.
Mm. Um, so I stop and indicate for the others to stop behind me, and oh boy! So you said two large eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if you wanted to get closer and take a look, you could do
yeah,
that, but you might alert them. This is just your first
yeah.
impression of what they might be.
What if I? It's probably too early to ask the question. Um, let's find out what it is first. Yeah, I'm gonna step myself slowly forward and try to figure out to what the eyes belong.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a discern realities roll.
Okay. That's with wisdom, right?
Yes.
Cool. That's a 6. Did I take a 1 in wisdom? I did. 7. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay. So I think you get one question from the list.
Yes. Um, what? Man, I love the fact that Discern Realities has really interesting questions, but man, it's hard.
I know,
Uh,
because there's always a possibility like you ask a question and then the GM just gives you a really obvious answer.
yeah, I know. Um, what, what, what is about to happen?
mm, what is about to happen? Um. Oh, it is about to notice you. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that's all I can give you off that question. And you hear from below in this sort of rumbling voice, and it says, "Why did you wake me? The fire, the fire."
Uh, it seems friendly. What's the most efficient way to kill this?
Um. Well, I think I'm gonna
Not
go with
that
the
quick.
obvious
So.
one.
Fire.
Blind it and kill it.
Yeah, sure. As soon as it starts talking, I look over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what do the rest of you do? I do want to emphasize to you, Alex, that you can change into other things than bears. So, if there's something like if there is like some advantage you could perceive to changing into some other animal, you could totally do that. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But no
yeah.
matter what I change into, they'll always have bare hands.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm a bird, but
Oh my
like,
god. That is like so what we do in the shadows, and I love it so much.
it's good. It's very good.
Oh, you'll make me so happy.
So yeah, so do either of you want to do something in this situation here? You have an
Um,
opportunity to act.
I'll let Asta go first because I think uh, Theodore is going to do something really stupid. So feel free to act before ignorance.
Uh, Geez. Flying is always a good thing, right? I might try change into like an owl.
Okay. So like an owl with like these like big bear claws like at their feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right, so yeah, go ahead and change into an owl, and I think you specify some things about your form. Isn't that how this move works? Um,
I don't.
so
There's something about like the primal urge.
shapeshifter. While in your borrowed shape, you gain any innate abilities and weaknesses of the form: claws, wings, gills, breathing water instead of air, and so on. You also gain the instinct of your new form. If you try and ignore this primal urge or keep it in check, you must defy danger. Okay. Yeah, so I think the primal urge of the owl. Primal urge of an owl. I've actually spent time handling owls, so I should be able to figure this out. It would be to. I mean, I feel like owls, they are mostly concerned with how can I put this into words? Their instinct is to always have eyes on those around them. So like they always like the thing is, okay, so like just thinking here, the thing with owls, if you're gonna pet an owl, you have to like show your hand to the owl and then pet the owl, because if you put your hand on top of the owl's head and it can't see your hand, it just freaks the fuck out, because like it they're like, it doesn't like, its eyes are just like in its head, right, like ours, and it can't really do anything if you like put your hand on top of its head, so it just like freaks out. So the thing is, like, you have to be like able to see what it is that's around you, and if you can't see it, then you're going to be in big trouble. So
Okay.
yeah. So what do you do as an owl?
I think I have to try shift first. I have to
Oh
roll
right,
this.
yeah.
That is a 10,
Okay.
so no issues.
Yeah, you get what you want.
So
And
as an owl,
I take it you're gonna be a nocturnal owl, so you can like see really well in the dark or something.
that was indeed the plan.
Okay.
I was to say, please say yes, or I'll be very daggery.
And also tell us what kind of owl you turn into, because owls are cool.
I'm sorry, I don't know that much about owls.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So
It's
yes.
give one of the ones that has like those. What was that gif of like? It looks like super angry when it turns around to face the camera.
Oh, like
One
a
of those.
great horned owl or something, like has like the horns on its head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
those.
yeah. Cool. Yeah. So you've got those super intense gaze of a great horned owl, and so what do you do now that you are an owl?
Uh-huh. Well, I suppose this is my first instinct. I want to try and get eyes on this mystery creature.
Okay. So yeah, so I think you need to get out of the torchlight because it's kind of blinding you right now. um, but yeah, once you like, you probably like fly up into like one of the dim corners of the cave, and you can discern the form of a giant down there. It's wearing like I think it's probably wearing like a giant yeah, usually we think about like giants wearing like rags or like a fur or something, but like it's actually wearing like this kind of armor that's been made out of like giant beetle shells. Yeah, and it's sitting on the ground and like looking up at the fire, and it's like yeah.
I'll convey this information with my handy new necklace
Right.
to
Cool.
Theodore.
Yeah, so it's probably like around your leg or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe I keep it like on my wrist in human form, so when I shift, it stays like on top of the bear claw.
Right. So Theodore, you know there is a giant down there. What do you do?
So I think as soon as this giant said, like, "Ugh, this the torch, like the flame is not good," then I guess it's me and I'm assuming myself and Bannigan are holding torches
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or whatever
probably.
this is. I think without asking for consent or anything, Theodore's is gonna snuff both torches.
Okay. So you're in the darkness, complete
Yeah.
black. What do you do?
uh, Theodore is gonna hang really still and sort of like try and wait it out
Okay.
to see if the giant is gonna respond further.
All right. So yeah. So I think we get it from like Aster's perspective because like you can see this just fine right now. That the giant like lowers its hand and then like rubs its eyes. And it's just like it like slowly stands up. And it's like probably like leaning on like uh looks like a uh almost like one of those like Aztec clubs that had like obsidian shards buried in it. Yeah, so it's like a club, but it has like these big like gemstone protrusions coming out of it and like leans on it and like stands up. And you hear so the other two of you, Bannigan and Theodore, you hear this voice now come from like above you, and it says, "Thank you, but you have woken me nonetheless. What do you want? Why did you come here?"
Where we seek the Magus.
The Magus! The Magus! And then you just hear like him like banging his club into the ground. And it's like there's like rocks like falling from the ceiling and like he's pissed.
No need to hurt the rocks. The rocks have done no wrong here.
And and then the giant just like quits and he's like, I hate that man. Trap me in here. I don't know why. His curiosity, stupid curiosity, stupid little men.
Trapped in this section of the cave.
I'm too big. I can't get out. Can't you see? I suppose you can't.
You just shook the cave with your club. Could you not use the club to create an exit?
I've considered that. Thought about it for a long time. But if I did so, it might just collapse in on my head and bury me forever. Not like I'm not a miner, just a giant warrior.
So if we wanted to go and talk to him about freeing you, which way would we go?
Free me?
You know.
Why would you do that for me?
Oh, I was telling you what I thought you wanted to hear, so that you would do what I wanted you to.
Then he's just like, honesty of a coward, but honesty nonetheless. And I think you might want to parley with him here.
Might want to.
Yeah.
I have literally met death today. I wouldn't mind.
He could pancake you pretty good with his super club.
Okay, so I mark XP. What bad things happen, boss?
Yeah. So he's
Sorry.
so you made him this offer, and he says, yes, you're honest, maybe, but you won't get any help from me, and and mm, I I just want out. I want out of here. I want out now. Get me out. Be on your way. Do it quick. Let me sleep.
So wait, is
Fine.
he letting us pass, or does he want us to get him out first?
I think he's confused right now, and just kind of like he just woke up. He's angry, and you could take the opportunity to run away. I think if you wanted to in this situation.
I can't sing him a lullaby.
You could totally.
But man,
I mean, if people aren't opposed to it, I could try and sing him a lullaby. Or we can run away. I'm fine with either.
oh, I'm nightblind. I'm following someone else at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want to sing, go ahead.
Of course, I want to sing, but then I'm also
Okay.
worried about falling into stereotypes about birds.
About what?
Biggest stereotype.
Well, I mean, it's your thing to sing, so you know.
Yeah,
I guess this is a defy danger charisma.
And I like to think this lullaby is like the fantasy version of like one of those meditation soundtracks. So it's kind of like this, the sea is tranquil and picture a breeze, kind of as you like inhale, exhale, kind of thing.
Right. So you're like reciting some kind of like mantra thing to him more than singing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely got like a like melodic quality to it, but it's all like to inspire visuals of. I got a 12.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think you start to like speak in this kind of reassuring voice, and and you hear him like this thud as the like and Astra, you can see this. You can see that the giant like sort of like sits down again. He's like, and then like just like starts like sleeping, sitting down. Can't really fit into the bottom of this cave very well, so he can't like lie down, but he can like sleep sitting up. And like you just hear like his club like go fall to the ground beside him. And yeah, and then you just like hear him snoring a little bit and like mumbling about like it's probably like mumbling about like running through the mountain valleys or something like that, like some memory of what he had when he was free. Yeah.
That is so sad.
All right, so you have an opportunity to be on your way. I would advise probably not turning your torches on at this point, because might wake him up again, but, you know.
That is fine. If we have a wise and strong owl to lead us through.
You're not the boss of us, Kyle. We turn our torches.
Yeah. Back to the torches right away. Start singing a body drinking tune.
He's on me.
Yeah, so like I guess you can kind of just like lead them ahead, Aster, and like call out directions to them because like you have the nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
But can you also hoot while you do it?
I'm not a traveling circus act, and I feel demeaned by your behavior. Please respect my culture as a druid.
Then Theodore will hoot for you. It's fine. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so I think we've resolved that. So yeah, so I think you make your way through this cave system, following the moss. Eventually you're able to turn your torch back on, or like light your torch again, I should say. And you start to see the luminescence of the lake come from the mouth of the cave up ahead, and you come out, and you come to like a ledge that is connected down by a rope bridge to the side of the ziggurat below you, and it's this just incredibly large obsidian structure, and you see to your side there is a tall man, probably about 7 feet tall, carrying a halberd, and it is a man who is clothed in like black and gold robes, and is also completely jet black themselves, and they have the head of a jackal, and they look at you and they say, "Come through the caves. What do you want? Here to see the master?"
I respond, what is the most efficient way to kill this?
Okay. The most efficient way to kill it is... Ooh, I mean, I guess it's like the most efficient way... I feel like the most efficient way to kill it would probably be to like go for its vital organs, because if you go for the head, it might just bite your arm or something. So yeah. Yeah. So how do you respond to the questions?
Nothing wrong with honesty, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we are here to see the master.
You're an owl.
Well, I'll tell Theodore to say that.
Yeah. Theodore's offline. Where's Theodore?
Oh no.
Come
Theodore's
back, Theodore. Hello?
I feel like Theodore they're most needed, which I think about how this group feels about bards.
Wait a second. You just like went offline. So what happened? Did you say something?
Yeah, the last thing I heard was like Astra saying Theodore should speak, and then I couldn't unmute myself, but I was like, I feel like the universe is saying something about bards.
Okay. So
so,
go ahead. Talk.
Yeah. Definitely approach with a smile, so joyful, and say, why, yes, of course, we're here to see the master. Use, or whether we bring an important task or deed that needs seeing to, for you see the forest above is dying. help.
Yeah. So the guard looks at you and says, "Forest above. Never seen such a place. Sounds strange. Why do you care one way or another if it is dead or alive?"
On a personal level, I care deeply about the above forest, for that is where I am from, and I am sure that you two would feel a similar sentiment if your home here were being threatened.
And it just like looks at you for a long moment and is like, that
But
is
on a much
difficult for me to understand.
And I'm sure that on a much grander scale, if you envision this forest above bearing on your homeland below, for the roots of the forest above grow deep, deep, deep down into the ground and hold together the fabric of this earth. If the forest above were to die, then surely the ground below will die with it.
And then the guard just shakes their head and like lets out like a yelp, like a jackal yelp, and is like, "I do not understand these things, but the master certainly would. I will take you to him. Come now."
I hear he is most wise. I do so look forward to meeting him. I'm sure we have a lot of stories we can exchange and experiences to learn from.
Right. Doesn't reply to you at all. Just kind of like waves with their halberd. So yeah, so you follow, I assume, into the obelisk. Or sorry, ziggurat.
Yeah, no stress.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, when you walk into this obsidian structure, and there's like, yeah, these kind of like patterns wrought in ruby and sapphire and gold, all along the walls and on the floor and the roof. It looks almost like they're all very like rectilinear, and it looks almost like circuitry in a way. But you, as you walk through this place, you go through you go through this long hallway, and you come out into this opening, and you feel as you come through the aperture, the end, like the doorway at the end of the hallway, a slight resistance in the air around you as you come into the opening, and there is inside of this room, like you walk out and you find yourself in a completely different landscape. You find yourself in this it's like a large open wasteland, but like there are like these huge like vines that are hanging down from the sky, and there's like all of this like wildlife, like birds flying around in the air around you, and you can see that there are like four moons that you can see off in the distance in the sky, and also there's like weird obelisks that are like floating in the air, like around these vines, and the guard is like totally unperturbed by this. What do you do?
I want to ask this guard, what is the purpose of this place?
Purpose of this place? It is... You ask strange questions, traveler. It is as it always has been. It is where I was born. And what is the purpose of your forest above?
I like will go to answer that. Well, the for and then realize it's not knowledge that I've been imbued with, and look to the she of the forest, or sorry, he of the forest. He of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Theodore.
Theodore, do you have an answer to that?
Of course, Theodore has answers for everything, particularly if it involves the forest above. Yeah, it's a bit quizzical at that. Like you'll get this, Kyle. Like, you know, when you go to explain, like what a word means, like, or give it some kind of definition, but you're like, oh, how do I explain that? Because I know what it means inherently, but when I need to break it down into small concepts, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like quizzical, like, wow, of course it has a purpose. I mean, the purpose is, it's like, it's like, you know, it's like,
and
the
then it
purpose
just
of
like
the
lets
forest.
out a yelp. It is like talking. You keep talking, but it is better for you to see what is here, and maybe you will find your answers there. And just leads you on. Is like not interested in your answer.
That is fair enough.
Yeah, so you're going like walking along this wasteland, and you come to like it's almost like a large like gazebo, and you see a man who's dressed in I think it's like a kind of he's got like a simple like white tunic. Looks like it's maybe made out of cotton or something, and some white pants, and otherwise he's got like one bracer on or armlet on that is made out of obsidian, and another one that is made out of gold. But he's otherwise completely unadorned, and I think the other thing about him is that he has he's completely bald, and has actually no eyebrows either. Like, he's got no hair on his body at all, and like stands up. You can't really tell exactly how old he is. It's really hard to sort of gauge because he's got such a strange manner about him. But he says, "So you've come. Took longer than I expected. Something get in your way?"
I'm just gonna shoot daggers at him with my fierce eyebrows.
Yeah, like looks up at you and like is like, strange beast. Perhaps I'll make one like you. Like takes out like a notebook and starts like scribbling down some notes on there. So what do you want? My time is precious.
Why, we have come to seek your counsel, for the above forest is dying. And I believe you may be able to help us out.
Remind me, which forest, which place did you come from? There are many ways in and out of this place.
Oh,
The Bear Claw Mountains is what I'll tell Theodore.
What's that?
From the Bear Claw Mountains.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, so you pass this along to Theodore. They're like, hey, listen. Bear Claw Mountain.
Theodore doesn't know the human names for these places.
Yeah.
Bear Club Mountains. I'll parrot back.
Yes, that's what they call them these days. That's right. I should go back there sometime. Another note. It's like, make Weird Owl Man visit Bear Claw Mountains. uh, and like flips a page over and says, "The forest is dying, I see. And do you know why?"
Do we know why? I can't remember.
No, you don't. You don't know why.
We don't.
That's why we came here, was to find out why.
Oh, thanks. No, we don't know why. Only that it is happening, and that if we cannot stop it, we'll all die.
And like looks over at Bannigan and says, "That one won't. Not a bit of flesh or blood in him."
And I'm like stunned by his notebook. Like it's drawn all of my attention.
Uh-huh.
I'm just staring at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, why didn't I think of that?
And
Yeah, I go up to it. I like lift it up. And is this how you remember things?
Aww.
and like takes like his like pen. I think he has like an actual like fountain pen. And just like taps you on the head with it, and it says, yes, that's one way at least.
Teach me.
And then like looks at like all of the like ruins and stuff that are inscribed on your body and says, yes, I remember you. You were, I see. You spoke with me, or one of me, earlier, perhaps yesterday in your time?
No, see, I don't remember that. That's the point. That's why I'm here.
And then, like, I think he, like, reaches out and, like, picks, like, one of the gem fragments out of your body and, like, holds it up in front of you and says, remember this?
Yeah, and it's that as that's removed, it like triggers that internal memory of all the gem fragments,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes back, and Bannigan's eyes just go a little bit wide, and I say, "Yes, I need one of those books so I can write it down immediately."
And he says, well, that presents a problem because, you see, you've been made so you can't read and write. It's part of the spell. Why, perhaps it was... Oh, anyway. That's the trouble you're in now. You can't remember because you're made to not remember. It's part of what you are.
I just take a couple of steps backwards, and on one of the steps fall back onto my big stony butt,
Mm-hmm.
slump my shoulders forward, and say, "Boy, I can't wait to forget all about how this feels."
And he says, ha! Well, no, not much in the way of memory or literacy, but has a sense of humor. Impressive. Like, makes a note. So, what, the rest of you were interested in the forest, was it?
Indeed.
And you, oh yes, you say you will die if the forest dies. However, I regret to inform you, but you are already dying. So, why should I care?
Well, see, that is where you're mistaken. For yes, I will die. This physical vessel will perish, but I will live on in the forest. I will be in every breath, every ray of sunshine, every babbling brook. So, if the forest itself were to die, then I would die with it for eternity. As would all the other knowledge and all the other me's and my siblings and all that will
Memory.
perish.
memory is it again? That's the issue here, I suppose. Well, there are some remedies I could offer to you, but what interest is it to me? Why should I be interested in your forest? There are so many.
When was the last time you were in the above forest?
And like walks over to like an astrolabe and like starts like adjusting rings and like writing things down on his notebook. I believe in, given the cosmic rotation taking the offset, yes, it was perhaps 600 of your years ago that I visited the forest.
So it was 600 years since you've last felt the warm rays of the afternoon sun on your skin, underneath a large oak, perhaps reading a tome of yours, enjoying the dulcet songs that the forest has to offer, the birds, the streams, the butterflies.
And he says, perhaps I did those things. It was a very long time ago. Would you like me to look it up? I might be able to recall.
How about I do you one better? Would you allow me to sing you a song
Oh.
to inspire visions of all that you've missed in these 600 years? 600 years worth of collected knowledge of myself and my siblings and our parents.
Okay. So yeah, you can try to parley with him, I think.
I'm totally trying to parlay with him. I really don't want to fail this. Oh, I got a 6.
Oh boy. He says, you hold this memory inside of you?
Yes, I suppose I do.
I see. And he, I think he gestures, and you can feel a sort of like sickening turn in your gut, or I guess you don't have a gut, but in your whole being. And I want you to defy danger Constitution.
This is gonna be interesting because Constitution was where I took my negative. Yeah, that's towards a 4.
Does
This is
someone
so
want
great.
to aid on this? If you can. I don't
I think
actually. You know what?
Mark-
I don't think you can. I don't think you can, unless
I'm fine with
unless
this
you want to
for
try to
rigor.
like attack the Magus or something.
Actually,
Uh-huh.
I might be down for that.
Okay. All
Because, like,
right.
for the record, I'm fine dying here.
Okay, well,
But if you want to take the Vegas, it's on you, Alex. You are in control of your own character and your own destiny.
Yep, I can't let my friends die. They're all I've got right now.
okay.
But I am dying.
I regret to inform you. that
You're already dying. Yeah, so okay, so how do you attack the Magus?
I'll still SNL,
Yeah.
like flat into his face and start clawing with my back
Your
claws.
back claws.
Okay. So yeah,
This
so
is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
roll a hack and slash.
I wish I could draw just so I could draw this scene.
Oh goodness, it's a 4.
Okay. Yeah. Gee, that's not good. Okay, so I think I'm gonna resolve these things one by one. So first of all, Theodore, you feel yourself fading from this world, and I think the rest of you see that Theodore like starts to uh almost like turn into like a mist in front of your eyes, and then the magus is holding a acorn in his hand and looks at it and says and is looking at it for a moment, and then you come and try to attack him, and he just holds his hand up and you freeze in the air, um,
Yes.
and
Nice.
looks up
So
at you
good.
and says, perhaps I should add it to my collection like this, or not, to be decided later, and takes the acorn and goes and puts it down on his table. So, Bannigan, what do you do?
I get to my feet slowly
Mm-hmm.
and I walk forward towards the frozen owl and I look at it and I go, "Oh, it's Asta." And I turn to the Magus and say, she's the owl is my friend. You should release her."
But why? You will not remember her in a day or two.
Of all the things that I have seen and forgotten, these two strange creatures have been the only things that I have remembered.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I try to pull myself up to like my full height and weight and try to look as imposing as I can, noting that I'm inside his like ziggurat. Like I'm definitely not in the place to be imposing.
Yeah.
I make my voice as gravelly as I can, and I say, "I once killed a giant eagle, you know."
And he says, he looks at you for a moment, up like I think he's standing by his table, looks over his shoulder at you for a moment. He's like, "You do have a sense of humor." Well, I am. Perhaps I will let them go. Do you have something you want to
Oh, I
interject?
was just going to ask the question I didn't ask before, which is, what's the most efficient way to kill him?
I think the most efficient way to kill him would be like it might be to undo his bracers or his armlets. Maybe that might be the most efficient. I'm not saying that's like necessarily effective way, but it might be the most efficient given your available options. Yeah.
No, I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah.
I will take a knee in front of him and say, "You have reminded me that I have pledged my service to you once before. Please allow me to do it again. And I put out my hand
Mm-hmm.
to take. Actually, I put out both hands to take both of his.
Mm. Yeah. And so I think he's like he's standing by the table with his notebook in one hand and the acorn in the other, and he looks over at you, and you see you. He sees you prostrate yourself in front of him, and uh, there's like a kind of like a ghostly form of him that comes out of his body and walks over to where you are and like takes your hands while his form at the table is like writing something in a book, and he says, "Yes, you did. You remember. It's very good. What do you do?"
So I can physically interact with this ghostly form. It's
Yeah, it has some substance to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and rip a bracer off.
Okay. All right. Go
Wait, before I
ahead
do,
and
did we decide that we needed this guy to save the forest? Nah, we're beyond saving a forest. I'm ripping
Yeah,
off braces.
I've given up on it. Theodore's an acorn.
Yeah.
so go ahead and roll. I guess it's gonna be like defy danger, dexterity to try to take him
Sure.
off his guard.
That works for me. Um, let's do it. 2 and a 5 is 7, and 2 is 9. And if you'll give it to me, +1 for acting on what is the most efficient way to kill him.
Yeah.
Which gets
Okay. So you get a 10, and I think you reach up and you grab the armlet, and you take it off of him, and you see that the magus at the table is writing, and as you take it off, his hand slips and his pen goes like sliding across the side of his notebook, and there's like a big line left on it. And the form that you've taken the armlet off of just like kind of like vanishes into the air. And he looks over at you. You're like grabbing thin air with your hand, and looks over to you and says, "Treachery. And look what you've made me do." And just like holds up the notebook. And like you see that like on the notebook there's like writing, but there's also like a sketch of the acorn he just took. Yeah, and and oh, so I think he walks over to you and he says, "You do realize the cost of your treachery, don't you?"
Um, I stand from my kneeled pose, look him straight in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Remind me."
Okay. And yeah, and I think so I guess give me like a defy danger constitution.
Sure. What is my con? It is a 0. This can only go well.
Okay.
Oh, it's an 8.
All right. Okay. He says, "I will give you one more chance to submit."
Do you reckon I can pull the armlet thing again? I'll tell you what. This is a great moment. Let me think. Throw the spotlight. I reckon.
Yeah.
I'll need some time.
So I think that probably Aster, you feel as the Magus's focus turns to your companion that you slowly are able to begin moving. You probably like move your bare head a little bit, just a bit, and you feel yourself moving through the air just a little bit. So what do you
Alrighty.
do?
I want to get as close to the magus as I can,
Mm-hmm.
above him,
Yeah,
as an owl,
yeah.
Yes.
and then turn into a bear.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I think you're gonna give me a defy danger strength to try to move, break his spell. Yeah.
Alex, you're the best.
Yeah. Love you,
That's what
Alex.
the entire character is for. That is a 10.
All right, awesome. So you like break through free of his spell. Now roll to transform into a bear.
I don't have to, because it's my totem.
Oh right, yeah, cool. So yeah, so you just like fly above him. You see this like you're moving like kind of slowly in the air, and so Bannigan, you can see this kind of above you, and then like you just like there's like this weird transformation as this. I think it's probably like this weird like body horror thing where like it's like it comes from like your paws are in the air, and then it's like the rest of your body just starts to like metamorphosize around the paws until you're actually a bear in the air, and you just like fall on top of the magus, and he like there's like this like thunderclap in the distance as like he just like falls to the ground, and he's like, ah, it ah. What? Preposterous. And like rolls out, like tries to roll away from you. What do you do?
I'll just signal to. I'm not really good with, no opposable thumbs at taking braces off of people. So
Yeah.
I'll try and keep him pinned and like roar at Bannigan.
Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We don't even need telepathic gems for us to get each other.
Yeah,
know what
yeah. You just like reach for him. Yeah. Okay. So I think you're able to remove the armlet. Like you probably like try to like pin down one of his arms, and then like you manage to like grab a hold of it. But as you grab a hold of it, you feel a resonance in your own body through the gemstones that are like shot through you, and they start to vibrate as you hold it. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm completely aware of the cost of this, but Theodore is an acorn, and that is not something I want to continue. I'm gonna have to rip it off.
Yeah.
I'm fine being an acorn.
So you rip off the armlet, and
Oh, sorry. I want to put a moment in this quickly, which is I just catch eyes with Asta,
uh-huh.
and I say, "Remember me as I was," and rip the armlet off.
Yeah, and you take it off, and I think it's like your whole body like explodes into shattered like gem pieces and just goes like flying everywhere around you. And you see underneath you, Aster, that the magus is like shifting and like looks like younger and older, and like is like now like one kind of being and another, and it seems to be changing like gender and sex. It is like just sort of like in this weird state of flux, and then finally settles on just this like kind of like withered old man, and like looks up at you and says, "Oh, was all this necessary?"
Well, I can't exactly talk. I'm a fucking bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Theodore still an acorn?
Yeah.
Oh man, what do I do? What do I do to this old man?
So I have to remind you, you made a promise.
I made a
Wouldn't
promise to
you would
give
not
up.
you would not save the forest.
I would not save the forest.
Yeah.
Oh, what am I even here? I just wanted to help my friends.
Like bear tear like rolling down the eye.
Yeah, yeah. I might get up off of the man and like
Uh-huh.
walk over to Theodore, the
Uh-huh.
acorn,
Yeah.
like pick it up in my bare mouth
Yeah.
and just try and leave.
Okay. And yeah, and I think it like the Magus just like draws himself up to his knees and like puts his armlet back on, and then like resumes his older form, but like kind of looks like a little bit like it's like kind of half there and kind of not. Like he doesn't really have full control over it yet. He's like, "So you're leaving? Well, I guess you've earned it." Let me tell you something as you go. There are many ways in and many ways out of this place. You can travel to any number of places from here. If you want to go back to where you came from, you can. But you can go elsewhere as well. And I don't hold malice against you. You don't comprehend things the way I do. You haven't seen everything I've seen. That acorn you hold, it contains your friend, but it contains all of the memories he held as well. You can go elsewhere. You can plant it. You can make a new forest. It's up to you. One has died, or is in the process of dying, but you can create something new. I'll leave you to it. Leave me to my notes.
Can I interject?
Go for it.
As in, yeah, like acorn
As an
road.
acorn.
Yeah.
um, I think that proposition, Aster the bear feels this like so it's been quite cold in these catacombs, but Aster feels this like warm spring breeze caress their uh thick like bear fur. And you catch on the tip of your nose like the scent of vanilla and honeysuckle.
I might turn back into a human as I'm leaving
Uh-huh.
and just ask, where's the way to the nearest oak forest?
And I think he just like gestures with his pen in a direction, and then you find yourself in the middle of a wood. And there's just yeah, it's probably like it's autumn, and you can see that there are like buds on the trees, the oak trees around you. Or sorry, not autumn, spring. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll slowly put Theodore in the ground, shovel some dirt on top of him.
And I think on the wind you can almost hear like just barely you can just barely make out this whisper of like thank you, and you feel on your cheeks like it's not raining, but you could swear it was raining because you feel like the soft impress of spring, like a spring shower on your face, as if it were like dainty kisses of like gratitude.
Yeah, like you bestow some kind of like like blessing on Aster or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And with it, you also feel this like confirmation that you are great and strong, and this is exactly what you were in the forest saw for you. For all that time, it was following you and tracking you, and that you've achieved a greater sense of purpose.
cool. So yeah, I think we just see like Aster in bear form, like kind of like wander off towards some mountains in the distance, yeah, in this strange land, and that's the end of the scene. And like yeah, and probably like it's like something like in the foreground of the scene, you see like this like shard that is of a gemstone that's like fallen out of their fur on the ground. It's like next to where the where the oak has been planted, or where yeah, a new tree of a new forest has been planted. So cool. All right. Well, that's another session of Worlds of Adventure.
What an adventure!
Yeah, you
God,
had an
how is that
adventure.
the saddest one out of all of them?
I was gonna say. So, like, FYI, Shane left me a comment that was like, "How many feelings can you get from these games?" I was like, "Apparently a lot." I've had so many feelings over the course of this game.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess we'll just like I imagine that Alex, you need to get to sleep. So
At some point.
we'll just do like some thorns and roses about the session, just to give feedback to the developers and sort of chat about it, decompress ourselves. So did you have any thorns about the session to begin with, or about the game? No, go ahead.
I ended up in a position at the end where, especially because like core motivations changed so much, I was like, wait, why? Like, why are we here? Why are we still doing it? And that's a very much a product of a one shot setup as well.
Yeah.
But especially because both my and Asta's like core motivations changed upon that death scene.
Yeah. I could have seen there were a lot of like sort of ideas I had in my head about where that might go. Like I could see the Magus like remaking you into a different being that was capable of having memories. But like it was kind of like you would serve or you would die. Those were the conditions that were like put on you going into that, right? So that's the product of like the last breath move, right? You kind of, I think as the GM, like I feel like you have to be really strict about those conditions, because like it's like Death speaking to the character, and also like if you just let it slide, then it takes away a lot of the weight of the move. And then you have like two characters who go through last breath, and it's like, whoa, like these two characters are both like very restricted in what they can do. So yeah, I mean, I think that last breath, obviously it's not really changed in any substantial way in Worlds of Adventure, but it's one of the most sort of like distinctive moves about Dungeon World, and it can be tricky to play out properly. But I don't know, I think it was at least I think the conclusions we came to were at least like somewhat effective, given what we were working with there. Yeah.
Don't know, like this really nice tragedy of like everyone's going along with their friends, but like the only one who's going to like save the forest is doomed from the start.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so, any other thorns about the session or about the game?
Um, I find the bard interesting to navigate because it's this weird duality of in combat. You're like, oh, okay, in my case anyway, I was like, well, I might as well just like sing at things because my charisma stat's quite high. But then, like for combat, I was like, I can yell at things and I can heal things, but that's kind of like where my limit is. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but then when it came to non-combat, I was almost like spoiled for choice with how I could like weasel out of situations by using the power of song. And I was a little bit conscious that that might get a bit annoying, or at least a bit like quarterbacky, where I'm like, no, guys, like we don't need to kill the things. I could just sing the giant a lullaby. So I think like yeah, I feel like the bard is kind of a spotlight hog in that sense, and I was just trying like to not speak out first a lot and just to try and take a back seat as much as I could playing
Right.
a flashy character. I don't think I succeeded at that very well.
Well,
But
I think it's more like a thing where, as the GM, you have that ability to sort of do magic stuff with your voice or to be persuasive, and there's like things to like constrain that, like making you do parlay moves or making you do defy danger, but also like I kind of think that if it's a question of spotlight hogging and like you're worried that like you're shutting down other people from trying things, like it's kind of like their job as players to just like be like, no, I do the reckless thing, like screw parlay. Let's like you're all that is
which
always
we
an
saw,
option,
yeah.
right? So like,
So
yeah,
I
like
guess we did see that with like the arrow to the jaw was the thing. Yeah,
right, yeah,
which
yeah,
was
yeah.
fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just like the other players I think are still able to introduce complications if they want to, or try to solve it in a way that is maybe not the most sensible but makes sense for their character, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for you, Kyle, and I guess the recording, because while you were taking the break to prep, I call it the bard problem, which is that I think the bard operates on a different axis. I think the bard wants to talk all the problems away,
Yeah.
and I think inherently other classes are more combat focused, and
Yeah.
so they
So
just seem to be their own thing.
I think the thing there is that like if you're talking about like what were the other characters doing versus what the bard was doing in combat, like actually the other characters were either just like rolling defy danger, rolling hack and slash, or rolling volley. It's not like mechanically that interesting, but I think the difference is that um, for the other characters, there's a lot more fictional positioning involved in combat, like,
Yeah,
and so that is a lot more. It gets rid of the monotony that you get as the bard if you're just saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna roll damage," and it's like, "Well, I sing like it's like that's my verb," and like you can't really embellish that very much because it's kind of like this is the one thing I can do, right? So I
I
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think part of that was me because I totally forgot that there's like the wider audience thing, and I was like, ah, I probably could have like there. I think Worlds of Adventure is a good counter to the bard problem since I don't think I was completely useless in combat. I was fine going into combat,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was trying to be like peace and love and shit. And then I think yeah, I think part of it was just me not reading my moves properly and going, oh, I do have other options apart from like screaming and stuff, but
Yeah.
I just kind of forgot. So I think I mean, from my perspective, I felt like it kind of got away from the bad problem. I think there was still some of the bad problem, but it was a good pivot away from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did a bit to align, I guess, the bard in combat and the other characters in combat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it giving you some more options on your arcane art move does help. I don't know if it solves the problem, but at least it's something, right? So that's nice, and maybe when you get more moves as you level, there's more options to go with there. Okay, any other thorns?
There's one thing I noticed about the bard moves, which is they don't have to take any of like the crazy abilities a cleric has to.
Yeah, right.
I remember like the cleric had like every ability at one point.
Yeah.
Just from doing like the usual combat.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because like, what happens if you get the 7 to 9? Oh, right, you have the thing come back at you, right? Or it. Yeah, I mean that. I feel like that can be like really bad though, because like I could have just like TPK'd your entire party based on you screwing up your arcane art move there, right?
Totally.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, if I was a meaner GM, I could have just been like, okay, guys, first encounter, everybody dies. All right.
New characters.
Yeah. You were super kind even with the heal thing. So I noticed my thing is just like you heal one character and you were like, everyone's heals, and I was like, I'm not gonna fight this.
Okay, cool. Anything else, or should we move on to roses?
I wrote down in my thorns section, the one type of owl that I thought was an owl isn't an owl. What is this bullshit? Apparently, the tawny frogmouth, which is an Australian owl, I was looking up when we're talking about owls, is not an owl. Just throw that out there. Super disappointed.
Damn it, Australia.
I know. Can't do anything right.
Can't even owl right. Okay. Well, I think for myself, I felt like running this game a second time, it really felt like from the GM side, I was just running Dungeon World. So like it's not a thorn, it's just like, oh, okay, like from the GM side this is pretty much the same. It doesn't like the my like I think maybe the GM moves changed a little bit between Worlds of Adventure and Dungeon World, but honestly I didn't get to prep that, so maybe I'm missing out on that point. But otherwise it was kind of like, yeah, it's Dungeon World, and it was just more like, I think on the player side, there's a lot of changes that you see. Of course, the one thing I mentioned before is that I just want like a monster manual, but I think they're going to do that in the final version of the game. So it's kind of like something they're already taking care of. Yeah, so, okay, so Roses, have anything positive to say about the game or about the session?
As usual, I have a lot, so I can hold off.
Okay.
Because I've done a lot of talking.
I also have so many.
And last thing I'll say is that I didn't do end of session move, and I maybe should have done that. So that's, I mean, it's kind of nice to reflect on things, but it was okay, I think.
I think considering the end of our one shot where I became a forest,
yeah,
I think we ended it well.
Yeah. So yeah, Roses.
Do you want to start, Alex?
But it takes me so long to think of anything.
Okay,
There's one I've got in my memory right now, which was, man, that last scene with the, oh my god, what is your character's name again? Vanagon.
Yes.
Vanagon's whole, like, I'll forget how that feels. Oh, can't wait to forget how that feels. Like that whole speech thing, that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really good. I like you got some repartee in with the Vegas. That was solid.
So it's very fun.
I think as always, like, there's a whole bunch of choice within the classes, which always makes it a lot of fun. Like you can specialize in being shapeshifter, you can call animals, you can do whatever you like.
and like because we didn't get the character creation into this playtest video because I made a mistake in the recording. Yeah, we were all kind of like gushing about that during character creation, like, oh, these are all really cool options. So definitely that goes to the devs. That like that was a big difference between Dungeon World and this game. Is like there's way more cool options to start with. Like first of all, because you get to choose an extra move, and then also just like I feel like there's just a little bit more there in terms of like I know when I've watched Adam run Dungeon World, and he describes the classes to players, like beginners, he'll just be like, "Oh, the you can play the Druid if you want to shapeshift. You can play the Ranger if you want to have a pet." Like it's like there's one thing this class does, and I feel like this game is like, no, maybe there's like 2 or 3 things this class does, and that's really cool.
Spot on. And I'll mention this because it ties into that. The other thing I like about this is that classes feel more multiple ability score dependent because they're trying to do different things. So you've I hate games where you kind of only just roll your main stat, and that's something the Worlds of Adventure gets away from because you've got your wisdom move and a strength move and an intelligence move. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So, how did you feel about the new Ranger moves now that you got to use them?
So I want to start with one that I think is the simplest, but I need your insight on as a team. What do you guys think about what is the most efficient way to kill this question?
The most hilarious question I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it was interesting from my end as a GM because I had to like it helped me characterize the monster a little bit. I think that was kind of fun. It did also require me to like and like I think it drove that scene with the Megas quite a bit, right? Like
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that was really interesting. I think it kind of drove the scene towards combat in a way it might not have otherwise gone. So I feel like is that is really interesting. I think that it says something about the Ranger, though, right? Like that it's describing something about what kind of person they are. That this is the thing that pops into their head.
Yeah. So there are a couple of feelings that I have about it. I will first just totally agree with you. I think it says something about the Ranger. I think it says something about the game that you're playing. In that, your first thing is about killing things. I also think it changes fights from, like it turns fights into like a Zelda boss kind of thing. Like you know where the glowing weak spot is, and now it's about how do you get to that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like its position. I don't like the fact that every time you finish introducing this beautiful monster, setting a wonderful scene, you introduce a guy. I am incentivized to, because I want to use my moves, say to you, now how do I break that?
Uh-huh.
And I just think it's in a bad place. I think it should just be attached to spout law. Whenever you use spout law, you can ask that question or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that it breaks flow on its own to ask a question. Yeah, I don't think that's particularly interesting. Add it to Discern Realities, add it to spout law. Put it.
I think it's fine in a one shot, but I really wonder if it would get grading in a campaign.
I could see that, yeah.
I was already worried that it was getting that way. The 4 or 5 times that I used it, that's why I held off using it on the Megas, because I was like, oh, I'm not kind of happy asking it now.
Yeah, so I think that's probably good feedback for the devs, for sure.
Yeah, but otherwise, as a battlefield tactician, the Ranger feels awesome. It feels like not preparation, what's it called? Readiness. Readiness is
Yeah.
an amazing asset. It feels really cool. It feels like you're. Um, it feels more like a D&D fourth edition warlord or sort of thing, like that
Right.
really smart battlefield planner. You're fighting smarter, not harder, and I loved it. And I would play that class again and again and again. And I don't normally like rangers, so that works for me.
Yeah. I definitely like, as a GM, I have to say I like it a lot more than dude with dog.
Mm.
That's I feel like there's like a little bit more room, both tactically and like role play wise, to kind of develop the ranger you want, instead of just being like, yeah, my dog is cool, or
Yeah,
whatever pet you have. Yeah.
yeah. It also it hits like it doesn't hit the ranged attack nearly as much. So I played it with a bow, but honestly, were I to do this again, I would have. Because I kind of didn't realize this going into it, I would have gone in with a spear and shield and like done it like that. That just feels so amazing to me.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, really dig the new ranger. I think it's phenomenal.
Great. Any other roses?
Oh man, I got roses for each of you. Uh, Alex, rose to you for your awesome turning into a bear from the air as an owl. Uh, that was just so good, so visceral. I loved it. Um, Lauren, for you, I'm really bad at music. I don't get music. So the fact that you described all of your songs through visual metaphor and smell and stuff, like, made it accessible for me.
Oh, hey.
So I really appreciated that. And Kyle, for you, like the reason that I love playing Dungeon World over D&D more than anything else is that I feel like the enemies and the fights are more interesting. It's
Mm-hmm.
still like a dungeon fucking puzzle, like you're still just going in there to steal the goblin's treasure, but this goblin is interesting and moves around the battlefield in interesting ways and does new stuff. And the fact that we had the crystals, the aboleth, we didn't fight the giant, but we and then the magus, like they were just interesting things to engage with, and I really appreciated that. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. I really I felt like I wanted to in this session, like I was before I ran the session, I was looking up like one of the, like, one shot guides online, like just to see if there's any tips I could pick up, and they're like, oh, like, don't throw the kind of bog standard D&D monsters at them. And so I really tried to push for that in this session, and I was kind of like worried, like, oh, is this gonna be like just a little bit too weird, or is it gonna fall flat? But yeah,
No, it really clicked. Noticed and appreciated. Thank you.
great.
Something felt like a Magus' crazy laboratory with like a jackal scorpion and like
Yeah,
crystal golems.
yeah, like I wanted to, so like getting into this, like planning this session, like one of the things I wanted to push was like that Lauren's character was so connected to the natural environment around them, and I wanted to like put them in a really weird natural environment and see like what does this kind of nature look like to you? Like, is this still the nature you identify with, or is it something different? And like just kind of like try to like problematize the idea of like your safety zone and like your idea of what nature is, and that was kind of like the driving conceptual force behind what I was trying to do.
No, that was so smart because I think particularly because we had a golem with us as well, right? So we'd kind of established this whole like what is natural, like essentialism kind of
Yeah.
social discourse. Um, And no, I think you were so clever to tap into that and go like, yeah, I'm going to put them in an environment that is going to challenge some of these, like, challenge these beliefs, if you will.
Right. Yeah, and I managed to work it in there anyway. Like, even though we're not
Yeah,
playing
you
Burning
did.
Whale, I still managed to kind of throw beliefs in there. Yeah, uh, definitely. Cool.
I have some things about
Yeah, go ahead.
Bard. So I think this was missed in the character creations. I'll say it again. But I've come into Worlds of Adventure and just being thoroughly pleased with how easy it is to hook into a character. Um, like it's the character sort of built itself for me, which I haven't always had reading playbooks. And I kind of now feel like I can pick up any of these playbooks and just work through and go, oh, cool, I've got this neat idea for a character that I want to play. Um, and I think one thing I was particularly impressed with was I don't know what the other playbooks are like, but when it comes to your like physical features for the bard, it has like your human elf and stuff, but then it quickly dovetails into like satyr, faun, siren, and a lot of like fantasy creatures. And I think that really encourages you to be a bard that's but outside the norm. And so when I saw siren, I was like, oh my god, I want to be this bard siren that can sing to people and has some kind of like that's where they get their power from. And then from there I quickly went into like, oh, what if it's like a nature thing and they can control plants and stuff and with their voice. And I love that the way this book is set up encourages you to go outside of your average bard. And I really like the character that we came up with in the end, to sort of like dude with sun dappled skin that's a bit green who's gonna die in like 2 years, but that's fine because he's gonna take the sun and the wind and the rain and the birds and whatever. Like that was so cheesy, but but I dug it. And then to that as well, I think it also lends this book made me go, oh, like this can be music is more than just like sounds and notes, and I can play with visual imagery for this character. And I kind of liked being able to wax poetic about this music sounds like weeping willows and like languid brooks or whatever, and play with smell and stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, I love this. I loved narratively this book a lot. Like I want to hug it. And I think again, like Kyle, you just always impress me with your GMing because you managed to sort of bring this whole game full circle in a one shot that we just randomly came up with, where we started with like you've got to save the forest from dying, and then it ending with like the forest reborn and becoming an acorn and stuff. And as soon as you were like, Theodore's now an acorn, I was like, oh my god, yes, I know where you're going with this. Like, please plant me in the earth so that I can like, become the forest again. And I really, really dug this one shot. It felt whole and complete, and like thoughtful and clever. It's that I think lends itself a lot to your great GMing.
Oh, thanks.
I just want to second that because that was fantastic, and thank you so much for running this, Kyle.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, and then I will second as well, my favorite scene, for sure. Aside, I thought everyone dying was quite a cool scene. Mostly because I guess I didn't die. But I think Alex, you turning into a bear mid-air was the most hilarious thing I've ever pictured in my head from any game. Like, that was just amazing. And then I love that we got to end on this sweet note of, like, you carrying me out of this place in your mouth and then, like, planting me and then me being able to say, like, thank you and having that like sweet character moment even though like I was dead. Like that was I've never had that before. That was real cool.
Yeah, I like the ending scene a lot. That was really, really nice. And like I honestly like it occurred to me that like that might be how it plays out, but like I didn't really know how things were gonna play out with Omegas because like Omegas is just so powerful. Like it's like okay, like, you know, maybe he'll just keep your acorn as a curiosity. But yeah, I was really happy with the way that played out, definitely. And I I guess if you don't have more roses, I guess I should do mine.
I'll hold off, but that's. Oh.
Oh, we've got more, buddy.
Okay, well, I'll just
You.
go ahead and throw some out here. So I said about the game I've said a lot of positive things about the game in general already, so I think I won't say more about that. But I really liked like how creative everybody was in character creation. I really liked that you all kind of like drove. Like I felt like in this session, because I was playing with people who were like experienced to some degree with Dungeon World, I could just kind of like at the start of like the game during character creation, I didn't have to stress at all because when I usually run Dungeon World one shots, I'm playing with people who have never played Dungeon World before, and so I have to do a lot of instruction at the start. But in this, it was just like, okay, well, you all know like how Dungeon World works, so just like get your characters going, and then you all came up with these like awesome ideas, and I just kind of had to ask like a small set of questions instead of like really like digging into a whole lot of things. So that was really really nice for me as a GM, and I thought you had all really good dynamics and you thought creatively during like all the situations you got into. So that was really great for me as a GM. Yeah, I think and thanks a lot, Sid, for playing with us. That's really cool. That you got a chance to join the group, and I thought you brought a lot to the session. And thanks to Alex, and thanks to Lauren, of course, for playing again. And like, thanks for like playing a totally opposite group from the last session we played.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
That reminded me of two things, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to say, like, the Golem Ranger is like the single coolest ranger I've ever seen, and I loved that it really, again, like subverted that typical ranger trope, and I loved your character, and like the fact they couldn't read and write and remember things, but yet he could spout lore and knew a lot about creatures was,
Yeah.
it's like such a wonderful cognitive dissonance that I enjoyed a lot. Like I thought that was kind of like ironic and hilarious. And then I think another favorite scene of mine was like the scene where Theodore like heals the poor jackal monster. Yeah, what was it called again? Ezabeth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Alabeth. I think it was. Yeah.
Oh, Alabeth. Yeah. Like that will stay with me for a long time. Like healing Alabeth, like that was so sweet.
Yeah, you got to make a bond with them. That was cool.
Yeah.
Did get to use it. I mean, maybe I should have brought that in at the end there, but like, I don't know.
No, I think the creation of it was like plenty.
Yeah.
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 And I think, yeah, I really liked it with your character there, Sid, that it was, I think it like brought in this theme about memory that ended up like being really strong in the end. And that was great. Yeah, absolutely. Added a lot to the story.
And I love too how it was, again, this very chalk and cheese where Bannigan's memory is like, no, but you as an individual persist, and that's where like your memory should come from, is you living for a long time. And then that compared to Theodore's like, no, we all die and stuff, and you go back to like the hive mind. So like I thought it was really interesting ways of exploring memory in two very different vessels.
Yeah. And then like just like so like what did you think about the Magus? I have to know. Like what did you think about this guy?
Oh man. I mean, I didn't engage him really. You guys did.
Very briefly, you engaged him.
I don't know. He seemed like this like neutral old man who was like keeping to himself and like didn't really pay attention to the outside world, and we just kind of rained on his parade and beat him up a little.
What did you think, Sid?
I had two experiences with it. I'll speak to the game one first, and then I'll speak to the fictional bit. So the meta bit was I was like, oh, we can take this guy. Like
Uh,
it's a game, right? If he's in the game, he can be killed. Therefore, like
oh,
we can give him the
that's
game.
yeah, it's classic
Uh,
D&D, right?
classic D&D,
You're like,
right?
okay, how much HP does Zeus have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then something in the back of my head was like, that ain't Kyle, man. Like we are gonna get rolled. Um, and that's why like I was happy to kind of edge around in the way that we did. The story thing about it was, um, yeah, that was where I felt that strongest feeling of like, why are we here? Because he wasn't strictly antagonistic to us. We weren't antagonistic to him. We kind of wanted his help, but we kind of didn't, and it just kind of ended up being this thing where like the minute any of them, any of the jackal heads or the mega said to us like, so what are you doing here? We all just kind of like looked at each other, and and that to me felt like the biggest like missed opportunity, because which I ended up loving it because that turned out to be like the theme of the story that we were telling. But it also felt like a missed opportunity to me because I think games sing when people have like clear, unambiguous motivations that conflict.
Yeah, so I think part of I just guessing, but I think part of that might have been like, okay, so there's obviously the last breath move that we did that altered things, and that was certainly part of it. I think part of it might have also been like I threw you into such an alien environment that it might have been a little bit disorienting, like as to like okay, like the forest, yeah, but like isn't that so far away? Like is like maybe it wasn't very tangible what it was that you were arguing for.
So I have a thought about this, which is one of the reasons it's really hard is that there's no read a person move in Dungeon World.
Mm-hmm.
You can read a situation with certain realities, but you can't interrogate the fiction of an individual,
Yeah.
and that is a gap, because when you're standing across from the Magus, you want to ask him, who is this? What are their motivations? How do I? What do they want from me? What can I offer to them to get what I want? And Worlds of Adventure doesn't have that move.
Right.
Dungeon World doesn't have that move either. And I think if you're going to play a game that wants this scene where you have an alien individual in an alien environment standing in front of you saying, "Why have you come to me?" It'd be really good to have the move, or to massage discern realities into um, a fiction interrogation of
Yeah.
that person.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting question why that isn't in the game.
Hmm.
I think it.
I'm going to tweet at Adam Kerbal.
What's that?
So I said I'm going to tweet that question to Adam Kerbal like as soon as we're done here. Just
Oh,
dude,
yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because I actually have heard him talking with the members of his show on Roll 20% about why that move doesn't exist in Burning Wheel.
mm-hmm.
And that wasn't like he talked. He actually asked Luke about that. So, but that's like a very character driven game compared to Dungeon World. So I think maybe it's like I think there might be an implication there that Dungeon World characters aren't the sort of people who are very good at reading people. Right? Like they're adventurers who go off on adventures and like they're awesome at kicking ass and like doing all these crazy like world altering things, but maybe they're not like people in the way that Monster Hearts people are people. I don't know.
Well, I have a thought, um, which, and this is just very me. Like, I love a good in character dialogue as much as it probably pisses off everyone else. Um, but the nice thing about not having that move is it created a scene like where we had the Magus and Theodore, where the Magus was like, well, why should I give a shit about the forest? And then that led to a neat interaction where I could probe a bit in character and say, "Well, how long has it been since you've been to the forest?" And then sort of navigate to get to the negotiation from there. And so I think like if yeah, I kind of am fine with in character probing to figure out a point of negotiation. But I get that that's not for everyone.
It does definitely push that kind of interaction, because I've seen that on like Friends at the Table as well. When they're dealing with people, like it's like you do like discern realities, and like it kind of like gets at like the edges of their motivation, but then like you really have to like talk it out, and it leads to a sort of a lot of like miscommunication or like actual communication problems you have with people. And I think that maybe it's just a fact that in a game like Monster Hearts or Apocalypse World, it's like about character to character interactions constantly. Whereas this game, it's like if you have a significant interaction, like interpersonal interaction with an NPC, it tends to be something like at the end of a journey, or it's more sporadic, and maybe like they wanted to kind of highlight that sort of like weirdness of going into someone else's space. I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, I mean,
Oh,
would be interested to see if Adam replies to that question. Definitely.
and then I had one more point. Sorry, I feel like I said a lot of talking. To go back to like, I mean, I've only played these games with you a couple of times, Cal, but I feel like the whole leading you through a whole adventure to get to a point where it's like, but why are you doing this? It's like really you. And like,
Oh yeah, totally. No,
and
like
then it's
I was always just like thinking like these people are all operating in very different contexts. So yeah, and like yeah, that's like the thing the Magus would ask you, right? Is like, oh, like yeah, does this actually make
but
sense? Yeah.
and I kind of love that because like you spend so long on this like dogged quest for a thing, and then you get to the end, and then it's like mind blown, like why are we here? And we totally had that like the end of yeah, like our other worlds of adventure where we got to the tree, and it's like, why are you guys burning this down? And it's like, well, I don't know, for God. Like it was, and I actually really dig that. I dig that, like making you have to answer that question at the end of like, but why? Like I quite like that uncomfortable state of ambiguity at the end of
Yeah.
our one shots.
Well, you can look forward to a lot more of that when I inevitably run Sig for like 4 sessions in a row for Gauntlet, because there's gonna
Oh
be
my
a lot
God,
of that sort of thing.
I need to get in on that ASAP.
Yeah.
um, yeah, no,
Okay.
I love that a lot.
All right. Well, I think we're all tired and need to go to sleep.
Oh my
So
god.
thanks everybody a lot, and thanks to the devs, and I hope this
Mm.
playtest is useful information for you. So I'll see you all around.
See you around. Thanks again. You're all lovely people.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.